What? Ooh. Ah, hold up. I had the toggles on wrong. There we go. Hi, happy Halloween. Can you hear me? Is my mic acting boo-boo a fool again? Ah! Some of my toggles are working wrong. Give me a second. These Halloween toggles are killing me, brother. The halo isn't supposed to be white! Oh, well, it is what it is. Hi, hello! Happy Halloween! Happy Halloween! I absolutely, love Halloween. You're very late now. You're just early. You are just early. What are you talking about? Oh, no, she's hot. You guys like my costume? It's like, I was gonna wear the same thing I did last year, but I was like, I don't know, how can I turn it back, the halo back to black? That's not it. What? That's fine, whatever. Whatever. We'll keep it like that. Sure, why not? Yeah, I can be your angle or your deviled egg. Also, guys, I just posted it on my Discord server because I actually just didn't know until now. One second. You guys can go get a free V-card promo for the next 24 hours only. So if you want a V-card promo, it'll be available for the next 24 hours. I believe they said they're also doing another pre-order of Awakened Worlds. I'm not entirely sure. The handout makes me feel like you're judging me and I'm disgusted. Anyways, I hope everybody is doing well today and I hope you guys have a safe Halloween today. If you have any plans, be sure to take care of yourself. Have fun, but not too much fun. Goths, you mommy, for claps. We have a long day today. I'm gonna be streaming for 5 hours because I actually have to go somewhere after this because it is Halloween, so I will be hanging out with my friends and all. Did you know if you show up to Chipotle in a Halloween costume, they'll give you like a $6 burrito, which is absolutely insane in this economy. A $6 burrito! Sign me up. The site's broken right now. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Happy Halloween, happy Halloween. Yippee. Anyways, we do have some plans for today. Actually, should I get a little more up close and personal? Maybe, perhaps. We are going to be reacting to some MandJTV Pokedex entries today, so I'm really excited for that. And we are going to continue the shiny Litwick hunt at full odds because I don't know any better. Okay, I don't know any better. I don't. Goth mommy, have you been a good boy this Halloween? Listen, I sound like a fucking dork and a fucking nerd, okay? But I can talk like a mommy like this too. Anyways, yeah, that is the plan today. I will have a hard stream cutoff at 5 p.m. because I do have to go somewhere. Teehee. If you guys are wondering what I'm going to dress as IRL for Halloween today, me and a few friends, we decided to dress up as One Piece characters. So I just bought like a chopper hat. So yeah, I'm going to go to Chipotle after this stream and then go to Locals. So that'll be fun. Their use of the emote. She's missing the lipstick and the eyeliner. Oh my goodness. I wish I had. I don't think I actually have lipstick. I wonder. Wait, hold up. Can I change my eyeshadow on my model? 1 second. I think I can change the eyeshadow on my model. Yeah, sorry. Pablo didn't want to dress up today, my fish. He didn't want to dress up. Anyways, while I am figuring this out, I stayed up late last night because who the fuck is surprised? Who's surprised that I stayed up late last night? Absolutely nobody. I think I lightly mentioned it in the past. Oh, my model froze. Oh. VTube Studio, please don't do this to me today. Today is not the day. Dude, I haven't got it. Okay, back when I was in high school, I think my VTube Studio died. Oh well, it's because my model is just too powerful, okay? It's just too powerful. Yeah, VTuber slash student having a normal, oh, there we go. Like, oh, I can change it. Okay, hold up. Let me. Oh, snap. It's over. I think we can do that. I'm trying to. Oh, I can change my eyeshadow. Oh, I can. Oh, it's so over for you, chat. Oh, I don't know if I can change. Oh, what is this? I'm trying to change my eyeshadow, chat. Give me 1 second. No. No, that's not it. That's not it. That is not it. Looking lovely, thank you. I'm trying my best, chat. That I think. Oh, it went away. No, I was trying to change the eyeshadow to make it look look more goth. Okay, my VTube Studio freaking exploded. Anyways, I stayed up last night watching the T1 game. If you guys don't know, I unfortunately do follow competitive League of Legends. And if you guys don't know, Worlds is coming up. By Worlds is coming up, I mean we're literally in the middle of Worlds. So I had to stay up to watch my boy Faker. Okay, yes, I'm a T1 glazer. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Hello, Super Yoshi. Eyebrow. Dear Lord. Okay. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, so this is the one. Oh. There we go. And then... No, I'm not gonna do that one. I'm sorry, this is quite... Why did I decide to do this now? I don't know. Okay, we changed that. And then we can do this one. Oh, whoa! I look so cool. I look amazing. I look beautiful. I wonder, I don't think I have lipstick. Like, I can change the lipstick on this model. Oh, wait, can I? Oh, wait, I think I can. Oh, it's very subtle, though. It's very subtle. Oh, okay. You know what? I think I am... I can! Oh my god! Okay, no, that's not it. That's also not it. Well... That is my makeup, I suppose. I didn't know. I didn't know I could do that. Oh. Wow. I'm really. Oh wait, this looks so good, chat. Oh, this looks so good. Anyways, I wish my halo wasn't this color though. I kind of want it to match the rest of my outfit. I don't know. Is the white? Wait, there we go. Ah, there we go. I changed it. All is good. All right, now I feel like myself. I look so good, Jay! Oh, I love my costume this year. We look amazing. We look so bonita. Yes, I just had to click an extra button. Just VTuber things. Question of the day, I guess, suppose, for everybody. What is your favorite candy to get on Halloween? I think I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am a huge Twix girly, okay? I love Twix. It's my favorite chocolate. I don't have it very often though, because it's very high in sugar. Sour candy. Oh, dude, I love sour candy too. I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite sour candy. I really like the sour belts. I forgot what those are called. Like the ones that are like in strips. You know what I mean? Like they're in strips. Kit Kats are good, dude. I was so sad. Okay. Yes, I'm a brain rot TikTok person. But there was this cat, I guess. If you guys don't know what like a bodega is, I'm pretty sure it's almost like a convenience store / sandwich place. You can find them a lot in like New York or like in major cities. So there was like a bodega in San Francisco, and everybody on TikTok was so sad because there was like a bodega cat. Like a lot of bodegas will just have like a cat in there, and everybody's like loves that damn cat. So if you guys don't know like what Waymos are, they are like this, I believe they're the self-driving cars. And this self-driving car ran over the bodega cat and it like ruined my morning. I was so sad. And his name was Kit Kat. The cat name was Kit Kat. And I'm like, that's so fucked up. Ugh, I can't believe this. Yeah, it's so sad. I was in tears this morning. I'm like, what damn, why is life like this? Oh, now it's a flat cat. Don't say that! Don't say that! Don't say that! Oh, man! No, it like ruined my morning, like legitimately. I was like hugging my cat. I'm like, Marshmallow, I love you. I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. Anyways. Man. The world is cruel. The world is cruel. Anyways, love your cats. Love your dogs. Yeah. I was actually having this conversation with someone. We were talking about like how I feel like Halloween has kind of died these past like few years. I feel like a lot of parents don't bring their kids trick-or-treating anymore. How, you know, because last year on Halloween, I think Halloween was on a Thursday or like a Wednesday last year. But I like had a whole bowl of candy ready to give out and nobody came by. Nobody came by, and I was so sad. I was just like, oh man, you know? And I think a lot of people are now doing like trunk or treats where, you know, a lot of places, so like churches will like host them, or like schools will host them and stuff, where people can just give out candy at those places. And from my understanding, it's a lot to do with the fact that I guess people are scared to go to people's homes. And I'm just like, I get that at the same time. It's just like, damn, Halloween fucking died. Oh no, what will you ever do with all that candy? You guys can take a guess what I did with the candy. I think I finished that bowl of candy over like a span of 3 months. I still had my Halloween bowl out until like January, February. I'm not really a binge candy eater. I don't like eat tons of candy at once because I get tired of, I think there's like an actual term for like flavor fatigue, but like there's an actual like fancy term for it. I just can't remember, but I get flavor fatigue really easily. I'm not the type of person that like eats the same meal over and over and over again, unless it's like really good, which is why the times I have like meal prepped, I don't like doing that sometimes. What type of candy did you have? I usually get like the chocolate batch. But you know what? I'm gonna wait for tomorrow because we all know that all the candy goes on sale tomorrow. So I will do that tomorrow. What's your favorite candy? I like chocolate. Twix. As a kid, I really liked getting the Hubba Bubbas. Is it Hubba Bubba? Or what's that one like gum that came in like the cute like yellow and blue wrapper? I used to love getting those. And then Yenna actually tweeted about it yesterday. She was like, who here likes Whoppers? Because I guess people think Whoppers are like old people candy. And I'm like, I fucking love Whoppers. I always buy them whenever I go to like the movie theaters. They're so good. I love balls in my mouth. What can I say? I quit celebrating Halloween when I was 8. Oh man, Whoppers are very good. I love Whoppers. Yeah, I get to feel sick after a while. What's your favorite flavor of candy? So when I go find flavors of candy, thank you for the bonk. I like green apple. Green apple and orange are like the quote unquote artificial flavors I'll go for. Like Jolly Ranchers, the green apple ones are the best, okay? I'm not gonna take any arguments on that one. Yes, that's what I do too, Jester. I love pushing Whoppers in the wrappers. Dude, I just put the whole wrapper in my mouth and I like use my teeth to like get the Whoppers out of the wrapper. It's so fun. Is it sanitary? Probably not. Reese's, okay, I used to hate Reese's, but now Reese's has become one of my favorites. I used to really like Snickers when I was a kid, and now I don't really like them. Like, I feel like my taste has just been evolving and changing with time. So, yeah. Whoppers! I love Whoppers. I love Whoppers. I used to, when I was a kid, my mother, Rhea, she used to take all the Almond Joys out of my, like, bag of candy. She used to take all of them, which is fine. I'm not really big on Almond Joys, if I'm being honest. I'm being very, very honest. Wow! The Jolly Ram Rancher, thank you so much for the $10 super. So, wait, sorry, did you just call my name? Dude, the Jolly Ram Rancher is crazy. But yes, I love Jolly Ranchers. I love Reese's. I love them. Orange and green apple. Yes, those are like the two I'll always go for. And I do like cherry. I do like blue raspberry, but I don't touch the grape Jolly Ranchers. I don't fucking touch those. Those are nasty. I don't like anything artificial grape. Like I don't like grape soda. I don't like grape candy. Like I just can't I can't do artificial grape like at all. Thank you so much for the hydrate check. My favorite what was it? My one of my favorite chocolates as a kid. And I feel like this is an old person answer. I used to love Babe Ruths. Do they still sell those? It was like chocolate, nougat, and like a nut of some sort. And I loved it as a kid. And my parents are just like, Poseidon, what the fuck? Who the fuck eats those? And I'm like, I do! I love them! And I still, if like I ever run into them, I'll get them. But I haven't had a Babe Ruth in, I think like 7-8 years. Blue is the best flavor. Blue is really good. The one Jolly Rancher flavor I can't eat is grape. Because to me, anything artificial grape tastes like medicine. It reminds me of like liquid medicine I used to take as a kid, and I just can't eat it without being like, ew. But everything else, I love Jolly Ranchers. All the rest of the flavors I can eat. I don't think those exist where I live. They are like chocolate with like nougat and some sort of nut. They're so good. I love them. I love them. Man, I miss the days where like I would go to school after Halloween and like trade candy with other kids. Dude, that was the best. That was awesome. feel like this is the first time watching watching stop playing. Anyways, we should probably get to reacting because I do want to get through some videos and do want to get to shiny hunting. I'm very, very determined to get the shiny Litwick today, guys. But God forbid, who knows? We might not get it. Wait, no, Poseidon, we are not manifesting that. We are not going to manifest that. We are not manifesting that. We are manifesting good vibes, okay? Good vibes only. Good vibes only. Okay. What about flavored Tootsie Rolls? Dude, can I say this? I hate Tootsie Rolls. I can't eat Tootsie Rolls. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, chat. I am not a Tootsie Roll enjoyer. They just, it tastes like old people. I'm sorry. My turbo controller is supposed to be here today. Actually, let me check on my turbo controller. How oddly specific. I don't like Tootsie Rolls. I used to throw them out. I actually used to just throw them out. Dude, not even my parents like them. They're just like, Poseidon, I don't want those. I'm like, okay, I'm throwing them away. Nobody at my school wanted Tootsie Rolls. And you know what? Based. What was I gonna check again? Oh, like, I was gonna check when my turbo controller gets here. She's so real for that. Dude, I'm sorry. For all my Tootsie Roll lovers in chat, I apologize. But I really can't. I really can't. What are your feelings on candy corn, Sai? I love candy corn. I think candy corn haters are don't know what they're talking about. Oh no, I'm about to get canceled for my candy takes, dude. I love candy corn! Dude, did you guys ever like go Halloween, like, or trick-or-treating on Halloween and then get like, I don't know, should I keep the cape on? I feel like the cape makes me feel so powerful. I kind of want the cape on. Cancels I? Why? Why would you cancel me? I hate black licorice. Licorice is okay. I don't think I have like a hate for black licorice, but I definitely, it's one of those candies I won't reach for. Never had candy corn? Dude, you need to have it. It tastes like just pure sugar, but I love it. Or a farm on us? You're right, you're right. You know, I'm not good at like proportions, but does it look like my body is a little too small for my head? If so, I will fix it. Can you make the cape fellow in the wind? I wonder if I could. I can actually add like wind speed. Wind strength. Look at this wind strength. I don't know what this wind strength is. Oh my god. Yeah, we're not having any wind strength. A little? Okay, let me fix it. I'm not good at proportions, okay? I don't draw, y'all. I don't study anatomy. I think that looks better. I think I should pull up this a little. I got this off of like Booth. And is that Morgan? I have no idea. I just found this wonderful costume. And I'm wearing it now. All right! It's time, gamers. You guys don't scare us by showing boobs. Are you scared? Jump scare! Ha! Got you! Happy Halloween. Ah! Oh no! If only there were thighs! Oh no! Oh! Okay, I think that's too much. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't feel like getting in trouble today. I don't want to get in trouble. Spooky thighs. Oh, shit. Oh, freak. I don't remember asking trick or treat. Well, too bad it's Halloween. real. Anyways, I keep procrastinating. But we are going to be reacting to some MandJTV crazy Pokedex entries. We did react to the creepy one already, which I probably should have saved for Halloween, but you know, it is what it is. So we're going to start with every crazy Pokedex entry in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I have mentioned this, I think, numerous times, but my favorite Pokedex entry, like, ever is the Drampa entry from Sun and Moon, where it talks about how if a child it has befriended has, is being bullied, the Drampa will go and burn down the bully's house, and I'm just like, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the chaos. He's Unk. He just likes to protect. You know, we love him. So we're gonna be going over Sword and Shield today. And you know what? Before we start, I just want to say I've been getting some comments on both YouTube and Twitter where they're like, Poseidon, why do you like Sword and Shield? It's not a great game. And you know, maybe it isn't the best Pokemon game ever, but I genuinely actually really loved playing it. I think I actually just associate that time frame with some great memories, which is why I love Pokemon Sword and Shield. Pokemon Sword and Shield is the only game I actually completed the living dex for. I haven't done the living dex for any other game. I've done Pokedexes for other games, but I haven't like done the actual living dex. So yeah, if that should tell you how much I enjoyed the game, I don't know what will. I grinded the shit out of that game. I love it. So yeah. Anyways, every crazy Pokedex entry in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Greetings, Spooky fans!
Oh my god,
Michael
wait, how old is this video? He's so baby. Oh my god, it's from 2020. Guys, Mikey was such a baby back then. You had to like the video game because the TCG was awful with ADP, dude. ADP fucking traumatized me. ADP was the reason why I stopped playing the game for a little bit, if I'm being honest. Dude, Mikey is so baby. Mikey's so baby.
And I finally got around to reading every single Pokedex entry in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Yes,
every single one.
All of them. My efficiency was aided once I acquired the sacred texts.
Do they still sell those? The Pokedex, like, books? Dude, I love those.
I did that. I compiled
Someone in my 4th grade stole mine, by the way, for, I don't even remember what game it was. I just remember I had one of those, like, Pokedex books, and I don't even know who it was, but someone stole it, and I was really upset about it.
List of all the Pokedex entries that I thought were the most interesting, because they were surprising, or funny, or disturbing, or taught us a really cool new fact about a certain Pokemon. I will now present that list to you, along with commentary that is sure to enrich the mind and enliven the soul.
Yes.
Or do neither of those things. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I'm almost to 1 million subs. Okay, we can start now. Thwacky's Shield entry says when it's drumming out rapid beats in battle, it gets so caught up in the rhythm that it won't even notice that it's already knocked out its opponent.
Dude, Thwacky's just lost in the sauce, brother.
This is hilarious to me because while Thwacky could just be banging its drumsticks on weave a carpet from its springy...
What the... Oh, you know what? It's because I accidentally pressed something.
While Thwacky could just be banging its drumsticks on nearby rocks or something like that and ignoring the unconscious Pokemon over there, I kind of like to think that it's doing that drumming on the enemy Pokemon, so it's just beating the crap out of it while it's already unconscious, and it's beating a dead horsey if this is done after the expansion passes come out.
Don't beat the horse. Coming from the god of horses, please and thank you, don't do that. I'd really appreciate no harm to any horses.
Sword entry says when scared, this Pokemon cries. Its tears pack the chemical punch of 100 onions, and attackers won't be able to resist weeping. I'm no scientist here, but 100 onions? Like,
that's a lot.
One is enough to make you bawl. 100 might just make you go blind. Blipbug's sword entry says, a constant collector of information, this Pokemon is very smart. Very strong is what it isn't.
He has the Blipbug probably has a higher IQ than I do.
I'm including this because I think the completely unnecessary shade thrown on Blipbug is quite funny. Grubbin's sword entry says its natural enemies, like Rookie D, may flee rather than risk getting caught in its large mandibles that can snap thick tree branches.
I would not want to get stuck in between these either, man.
I thought this was interesting because we now know
Hot take,
that
I think
Rookie D
Inteleon
and
is overhated. I agree. I think Inteleon is overhated.
are enemies. So that's cool. Corvisquire's sword entry says, smart enough to use tools in battle, these Pokemon have been seen picking up rocks and flinging them or using ropes to wrap up enemies. I like
insane.
this dex entry because I think that's a really cool thing for Corvisquire to do.
Are the merch
like
sale message real or are they bot scams? No, they're real. I have them as a night bot to promote my merch.
Pokemon that use tools in battle are ones that have the tools just as part of their designs, like Farfetch'd, for example. But Corvisquire will throw rocks that it finds or pick up ropes and tie them up. Like, that's just fun. Thievel's shield entry says, with a live body and sharp claws, it goes around stealing food and eggs. Boltund is its natural enemy. This is another dex entry I like because I love the ones that reveal a connection between two different species of Pokemon. So we know that Thievul and Boltund hate each other. Isn't that fun? Next is Dubwool, and I think both of its dex entries are interesting. Its sword entry says, weave a carpet from its springy wool, and you end up with something closer to a trampoline. You'll start to bounce the moment you set foot on it. This makes no physical sense.
Yeah,
I don't think,
was about
because
to
in order
say,
for something
I'm confused.
to bounce, it has to flex downward and then flex back up. And if it's just on flat ground, I don't know how it would flex down far enough to bounce you, but even so, the idea is hilarious. And its shield entry says its majestic horns are meant only to impress the opposite gender. They never see use in battle. That's another interesting fact. It's got these big, gnarly looking horns that it could definitely impale somebody with, but it just doesn't. Purloin's sword entry says
to be
it steals
a
things from
fancy
people
lad.
just to
He just wants to flirt with the other sheeps.
amuse itself with their frustration. A rivalry exists between this Pokemon and Nickit. So the fully grown fox hates dogs, but the baby fox hates cats. Budoo's sword entry says
this
the
Pokemon! I hate him. My TCG players know itchy pollen my fucking ass. I will sit on a Badoo. I will kill the Badoo with my ash cheeks. I saw they added Badoo into Pocket, dude. They added, but it's not. I think it's Chingling that they added to Pocket. It does the same shit as Badoo. The hell Badoo do? Badoo do. So Badoo in Pokemon TCG is a Pokemon you might see in most decks. So it's a 30 HP Pokemon with a free retreat cost, and for no energy at all, you can item lock your opponent and do 10 damage. Now, you might be thinking, Poseidon, 10 damage is fucking, that's baby shit. Why is everyone playing it? Because most of the decks right now in Pokemon TCG run on items. So if you're item locking your opponent, they likely can't really do anything about it. So that is why I hate Badoo. I say that, but I also play Badoo. It's only okay if I play it. But if someone else plays it, no. No, no, no. The new Jellicent line is worse than Badoo. But the thing with Jellicent, though, is it only item locks if it's in the active. So it's as easy as playing a boss's orders or like using Iron Bundle to get it out of the active. And yeah, I mean, Frillish can item lock, but really you're only going to see Frillish in one type of deck, which is Gardevoir. It also locks tools, it does, but like it's not a permanent thing. If you get the Jellicent out of the active, which most decks run boss's orders, then the item lock gets turned off. It's harder to play around Badoo than it is Jellicent. Yeah. Just like Jeff. Who's Jeff? Yeah, Jellicent's only realistically used in Gardevoir. as just like a stall Pokemon to try to slow down your opponent while you set up, but Badoo is more likely to be played in most decks. Like, you'll see Badoo in Dragapult, you'll see Badoo in Zard, you'll see Badoo in, like, Grimmsnarl. Yeah, I'm super unlucky in one game. All my boss's orders were prized. That is the Poseidon special, my guy. At least, I think I told you guys, there was this one regional I made day 2 at, right? It was my first match of day 2, and I got to play against, this really highly ranked Australian player. So tell me why my very first match, I was playing Charizard at the time. All 3 of my Charizards were prized. Like, this has to be some of the fucking most bullshit match I've ever had to do with. And the problem is I actually had a favorable matchup into him, but because he was playing Lost Box, and usually Charizard runs over Lost Box for the most part. So, it sucked. I actually ended up losing the entire set, which makes me sad. Yeah. Holy moly, is that my favorite Greek goddess, VTuber Poseidon? Hello! I needed to not do work today. No! Do work!
It releases contains poison. If this
the
Pokemon
demonic
is
bunnies
raised
made it
on
Hydrapple
clean
deck? Oh,
water,
brother.
the poison's toxicity is increased. I think that's fascinating. I would have expected that the worse the water, the more potent the poison. But I guess the healthier the plant is, the more it can
I'm gonna
fight
sit
enemies.
on it.
Alolan Ninetales' sword entry says, a deity
Alolan
resides in the
Ninetales.
snowy mountains where this Pokemon lives. In ancient times, it was worshipped as that deity's incarnation. This one is fascinating to me because it doesn't just say, rumors say that there's a deity in the mountains. It just
You know
flat
what? Real, it's Halloween. I'll allow it just this once.
out says, there's a deity there where Alolan Ninetales is, which is like, okay, confirmation of some kind of spirit. That's cool, I guess. Vanillish's shield entry says, it blasts enemies with cold air reaching negative 148 degrees
What the-
Fahrenheit, freezing them solid. But it spares their lives afterward. It's a kind Pokemon.
Yeah, let me just, like, blast you with these unfathomable freezing temperatures that are not normal. But you know what? I'll let you live. I think it might actually kill the being before it lives. 1 second. Oh my goodness. Bro, just flash freezes you? That's insane.
This one caught me off guard. It's like, yeah, okay, vicious fighting cold air stuff. Oh, it spares their lives. It's kind.
Oh, what a nice guy.
Wow. Good for it. Snowrun's shield entry says it can only survive in cold areas.
Aww.
It bounces happily around, even in environments as cold as negative 150 degrees
God, look at him
Fahrenheit.
shivering, though.
I think this entry is interesting because the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth at ground level is around negative 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means there are environments in the Pokemon world that are colder than the coldest temperature ever on Earth that we recorded. The Ice Age could have been colder, but we weren't recording it. So I just think that's interesting and surprising. Well, I guess not that surprising. If you've got tons of ice Pokemon that can just blast temperatures colder than that all the time, you're gonna end up with really cold areas. Next is Dwebble, and I think both of its dex entries are interesting. When it finds a stone appealing, it creates a hole inside it and uses it as its home. This Pokemon is the natural enemy of Roggenrola and Roly-Poly. This is funny to me because it makes sense. You know, Roly-Poly and Roggenrola are rocks. It makes sense that they wouldn't like the Pokemon who might see them and be like, ooh, a fresh new home. And its shield entry says it first tries to find a rock to live in. But if there are no suitable rocks to be found, Dwebble may move into the ports of a Hippowdon. I love this.
Weird.
I think it's adorable that a Hippowdon can be wandering around and it just...
Oh, he's gonna live with the Hippowdon. I bet the Hippowdon, though, depending on the Hippowdon, might not like that.
has cute little Dwebbles living in the ports on the side of it. That's just fun. Crustal's shield
silly.
entry says its thick claws are its greatest weapons. They're mighty enough to crack Rhyperior's carapace. This is shocking to me. Like, Rhyperior is an armored thing. and apparently just these claws
Oh my god! Mother Rhea, she's been spam calling me, and I had to click decline, and she literally text messaged me. She's like, do you want new panties at Victoria's Secret? They are on sale. Why are you spam calling? I thought it was an emergency. I'm like, Mom, I'm working right now. I'm streaming right now. And she's like, Poseidon, there's panties at Victoria's Secret. You want them? Oh my god. Mother Rhea, relax.
Bug
Priorities
Pokemon
not
are
real.
enough to crack it. Like, holy crap.
TMI, welcome to a Poseidon stream. I talk way too much.
Golet's shield entry says this Pokemon was created from
love
clay.
Golet.
It received orders from its master many thousands of years ago, and it still follows those orders to this day. This I think is interesting because I don't know how practical it is. How could a Golet still be trying to carry out orders that were given 1,000 years ago?
He's like, what is it, the pacifistas? One Piece?
It's just wild. Next is Golurk, another one where I think both of the dex entries are interesting. Its sword entry says artillery platforms built into the walls of ancient castles served as perches from which Golurk could fire energy beams. That is so freaking cool. Instead of lame catapults on your castle walls, you would just build platforms for a Golurk to stand on and blast laser beams at the enemy. That's freaking sick. And its shield entry says there's a theory that inside Golurk is a perpetual motion machine that produces limitless energy, but this belief hasn't been proven. I love the nod to a physics concept here. If you didn't know, a perpetual motion machine is something that can never exist.
Doesn't Mikey have an engineering degree? I like forget that he's actually like super smart. Oh my god. Men in STEM, am I right? he's super duper smart.
Because the idea is that it creates energy from nothing, which is impossible. So the idea that a Golurk could possibly be creating energy from nothing, that's just cool. Masharda's sword entry says, when dark mists emanate from its body, don't get too near.
No.
If you do, your nightmares will become reality. No! This doesn't just say that you'll be stricken with...
Masharda just gives you fucking, what is it? Sleep paralysis? That is horrifying.
Terrible nightmares. It says your nightmares will become real? Like, as illusions or hallucinations? Or is this Masharna just going to create horrifying things out of nothing?
I've only ever been called a nerd for being an engineer.
That is just...
I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think men in STEM and men who are smart are hot, okay? I do like me an educated man.
Disturbing and just weird.
Hallucinations. What is this pain?
Snover's shield entry says the berries that grow around its belly are like ice pops. Galarian Darumaka absolutely love these berries.
Wait, question. Does Galarian Darumaka, when Galarian Darumaka like shits, is it cold? Is it cold? Cause you know how like regular Darumaka, their droppings are hot? I'm curious, right? Like, are the Galarian ones like shitting like ice? Like I'm confused. I want to know, okay? This is a real question. I hate Darumaka. Why? I think Darumaka is so cool. What? I'm being serious, chat. We went over this. Darumaka, the regular one, there was a Pokedex entry that said that like it's shit. Like people used to put it in their like clothing and keep it to like keep themselves warm. Is it like the complete opposite with Galarian Darumaka, considering it's an ice type? Yeah, imagine, I was gonna be able to be like, you can use it as ice cubes, but I don't think anybody wants to put shit in their fucking drinks.
Adorable. Snover
the places my mind goes, I'm really sorry.
Grows ice pop berries on its body, and Galarian Darumaka is like, oh, this is tasty, let me have some. And that actually leads into the next entry. Abomasnow's sword entry says if it sees any packs of Darumaka going after Snover, it chases them off.
Oh my god!
Its sizable arms
Don't
like
mess with
hammers.
the babies.
So apparently, Galarian Darumaka taking those berries is not something that Snover or its parent Abomasnow is okay with. So Abomasnow has to chase those little hooligans off. Pangoro's sword entry says this Pokemon is quick to anger, and it has no problem using its prodigious strength to get its way. It lives for duels
Pangoro
against
is my
Obstagoon.
favorite.
This is another cool Pokemon species rivalry here, and it makes a lot of sense. Two big buff dark types not liking each other. That's pretty cool. Clink's shield entry says it's suspected that Klink were the inspiration behind ancient people's invention of the first gear.
I would have thought that like Klink might have been like originated as a man-made Pokemon, but I guess not.
This is fascinating to me because it directly conflicts with some information about Klink that we got in a previous game. Back in Black and White, Professor Juniper says that Klink was first spotted 100 years ago in the Chargestone Cave. But if Klink only showed up 100 years ago, how could ancient people have been inspired to make gears from Klink? What came first, the gear or the Klink? The Pokemon research community appears not to know. Bronzor's shield entry says polishing Bronzor to a shine makes its surface reflect the truth, according to common lore. Be that as it may, Bronzor hates being polished.
Yeah.
This is interesting to me because clearly
Isn't, like,
Bronzor
polishing might be like the equivalent of taking a bath. So does that mean that Bronzor just doesn't like getting cleaned? Oh my god, what do you mean reveal the truth? I'm confused. What could that possibly mean?
Or has some kind of instinct to not show people the truth. Maybe some bad things came about it in the past when people see the truth and that resulted in terrible things. So Bronzor is like, no, you can't polish me. You can't know the truth or whatever that is, because it could have terrible consequences. Dusknoir's shield entry says, with the mouth on its belly, Dusknoir swallows its target whole. The soul is the only thing eaten. Dusknoir disgorges the body before departing.
That's morbid.
Oh. God, that is messed up.
That is kind of fucked up and evil.
Eats its soul, and then just spits out this soulless body that just leaves there. Like, my god, ghost Pokemon are messed up. Trubbish's shield entry says, this Pokemon was born from a bag stuffed with trash. Galarian Weezing relished the fumes belched by Trubbish. This is another fun Pokemon relationship dex entry. Seems Galarian Weezing likes hanging around Trubbish because it thinks its belches are tasty. Barraskewda's sword entry says, this Pokemon has a jaw that's as sharp as a spear and strong as steel. Apparently Barraskewda's flesh is surprisingly tasty too. Add Barraskewda to the list of Pokemon that I would probably eat. Cantonian Meowth's shield dex entry says it washes its face regularly to keep the coin on its forehead spotless. It doesn't get along with Galarian Meowth. This is interesting to me because I just kind of assumed that regional variants of different kinds would get along because they're still the same species, but apparently Cantonian Meowth and Galarian Meowth don't like each other. Galarian Meowth's sword entry says, living with a savage seafaring people has toughened this Pokemon's body so much that parts of it have turned to iron. This is interesting for me because I hadn't heard about how Galarian Meowth came to be, and apparently it's because it lived with Vikings.
He's all tough
Persian's
now.
shield entry says, its elegant and refined behavior clashes with that of the barbaric Berserker. The relationship between the two is one of mutual disdain. So Cantonian Meowth and Galarian Meowth's dislike of each other continues into their evolved form. Sylveon's shield entry says there's a Galarian fairy tale that describes a beautiful Sylveon vanquishing a dreadful dragon Pokemon. I freaking love that. Instead of a knight defeating some evil dragon, they have the adorable fairy Pokemon defeat the dragon, which is of course appropriate. Appleton's shield entry says its body is covered in sweat.
I think I might have asked this one, but I'm gonna ask it again. Favorite evolution of Applin? I think I like Appleton the best.
Sweet nectar, and the skin on its back is especially yummy.
I think Appleton takes
Children used to have it as a snack. Dear God, I hope that doesn't hurt. Just imagine this Appleton walking around and children just ripping pieces of your back off of you to eat.
No!
Like, my God, like I said, I hope that doesn't hurt and that it grows back, because otherwise, poor Appleton. Meowstic's sword entry says, revealing the eye-like patterns on the inside of its eyes will unleash its psychic powers. It normally keeps the patterns hidden, however. Okay, so this is not new information. It actually mentions this in previous generation Meowstic Pokedex entries, but I wanted to include it because I had no idea, because I almost never see Meowstic anywhere. And have you seen the eye patterns? Like when it shows them?
I'm okay.
Let me just show you what that looks like.
I'm okay.
You see this?
I'm okay.
You see this crazy, disturbing
I didn't know it had its fucking ears. I didn't know that. Are those even ears? What are those? I actually had no idea. I'm kind of scared now. I don't like that. That's kind of...
God, these Pokemon are freaking terrifying.
What is that?
Aromatese's sword entry says, the scent that constantly emits from its fur is so powerful that this Pokemon's companions will eventually lose their sense of smell. So, pro tip, don't spend that much time around an Aromatese, because then you'll just never be able to smell anything again.
Not that horrifying. Imagine it's dark, okay? And you just see that, like, and it's glowing. I'd be scared.
My gosh. Next up is Surfetch'd, and I want to talk about both of its dex entries. Its sword entry says, only Farfetch'd that have survived many battles can attain this evolution. When this Pokemon's leek withers, it will retire from combat. So this is not new information. They mentioned that when Surfetch'd was first revealed many months ago. However, I wanted to mention it because it sets up its shield dex entry. After deflecting attacks with its hard leaf shield, it strikes back with its sharp leek stalk. The leek stalk is both weapon and food.
Wonderful.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me that it values this leek so much that if it withers, it will just retire from combat, but at the same time, it also eats it? Why would you eat the thing that you're worried about withering? I feel like that would speed up the withering process. This doesn't make any sense. Toxicroak's shield entry says, it booms out a victory croak when its prey goes down in defeat. This Pokemon and Seismitoad are related species. I love that they mentioned this. It's a cool confirmation of Darwinian evolution occurring in the Pokemon world. Seismitoad and Toxicroak had a common ancestor and are closely related species, and this dex entry, like, totally confirms that, which is awesome. Golisopod's shield entry says they live in sunken ships or in holes in the seabed. When Golisopod and Grappalocked battle, the loser becomes the winner's meal. That is metal as hell. Golisopod and Grappalocked fighting to the death in a sunken ship, and the loser gets eaten by the winner? Like, that's... holy crap. That is terrifying and also really cool. Grimmsnarl's sword entry says, with the hair wrapped around its body helping to enhance its muscles, this Pokemon can overwhelm even Machamp. And I don't think it's talking about just like the fairy overfighting.
I do like Grimmsnarl though.
Type advantage. I think it's meaning to say that the hair on Grimmsnarl's body makes it so physically strong that it's stronger than Machamp, which is wild. Maybe Machamp would be able to overwhelm Grimmsnarl if it didn't shave its entire body. Hatchrim's sword entry says, no matter who you are, if you bring strong emotions near this Pokemon, it will silence you violently. I'm gonna go ahead and just say it's probably not safe Pokemon to have a Hatchrim around, because whether you're really sad or really happy, this thing's gonna punch you in the face. Bisharp's shield entry says, violent conflicts erupt between Bisharp and Fracture over places where sharpening stones can be found. This is fascinating to me because both Bisharp and Fracture have dex entries that talk about how they sharpen parts of their bodies on sharpening stones. So it makes perfect sense that they would fight over areas with really good sharpening stones. I love that they're kind of looking back at past facts about Pokemon and then connecting them with new facts. Like, that's awesome. Sock's shield entry says, the karate chops of a sock that's trained itself to the limit can cleave the ocean itself. What? Wait.
What the fuck do you mean you can cleave the ocean? Not on my fucking watch. Hell no.
You can cut the ocean? What?
I say Cap.
What does that even mean? It's a liquid. You can't cut a liquid. Your hand would slice through it, and yeah, it might create an air bubble, but then the water just comes back together. Like, what are you talking about, Sock? This entry was written by a Sock. Galarian Weezing's shield entry says, long ago during a time when droves of factories fouled the air with pollution, Weezing changed into this form for some reason. I love this background lore because it makes so much sense. Galarian Weezing eats poisonous gases and then spews out non-poisonous gases. It purifies the air. I think it's so cool that humans had mucked up the air of Galar so terribly that a poison-type Pokemon evolved to help save the environment by...
Galarian Weezing's an ocean. We love Galarian Weezing. We love it. I think Galarian Weezing is a great Pokemon.
Purifying
Sorry, I had
the
to
air
move my mic.
and ending up taking on the appearance of a factory in the process. Like, that is fascinating and super creative, and I like Galarian Weezing all the more because of this dex entry. Excelgor's sword entry says it moves with blinding speed and lobs poison at foes. Featuring Excelgor as a main character is a surefire way to make a movie or comic popular. I love that this dex entry just acknowledges that Excelgor looks like a superhero. That's fun.
That is
LGM's
cool.
sword entry says, if this Pokemon stands near a TV, strange scenery will appear on the screen.
I don't like that. I don't like that. That's I don't know.
That scenery is said to be from its home. That is wild to me. Like, why are people not studying this more? You just put LGM next to a TV and you get a live feed of an alien planet that sustains life? That's insane. Beheeyem's sword entry says, whenever a Beheeyem visits a farm, a Dubwool mysteriously disappears. That is freaking hilarious.
Oh no! No! He took the sheep! No!
Beheeyem just abducts
You know
sheep.
the Adabadoo, the no item effect in pocket? Another reason for me to not install the game pack.
Funny. Braviary's shield entry says, because this Pokemon is hot-headed and belligerent, it's Corviknight that's taken the role of transportation in Galar. I think that's a fun fact. They considered Braviary to be the flying taxi Pokemon instead of Corviknight, but they couldn't because it's a jerk. Scorpie's sword entry says, after burrowing into the sand, it waits patiently for prey to come near. This Pokemon and Sizzlipede share common descent. This is another really awesome dex entry like with Toxicroak and Seismitoad. It confirms common ancestry and Darwinian evolution in the Pokemon world. That is fascinating, and I love that they're confirming that. Drapion's shield entry says it's so vicious that it's called the Sand Demon. Yet when confronted by Hippowdon, Drapion keeps a low profile and will never pick a fight. So Drapion is this big, boisterous, vicious Pokemon, but it's terrified of Hippowdon. Which, honestly, fair. Hippos are terrifying. Litwick's shield entry says, the younger the life this Pokemon absorbs, the brighter and eerier the flame on its head burns.
Well, you know, after we do all this reacting, we are looking for a shiny Litwick, and don't be surprised if if I'm dead by the end of the stream because of that damn shiny Litwick.
Jesus Christ! I know that Pokemon Dex entries have talked about...
To get a shiny tonight, I have to sacrifice small children. How about I sacrifice the shipwrecks? How about I sacrifice all of you?
Child murder before, but still, this one just hits different to me. It's like this cute little candle just absorbing the life of a child. It makes the flame burn brighter, so it's more motivated to kill children than adults. Like, oh, that's... Malamar's shield entry says, it said that Malamar's hypnotic powers played a role in certain history-changing events. I think that's really cool, honestly. Like, crazy historical events in the Pokemon world played out differently than they would have because of Malamar.
Wait, no, chat, you're not supposed to want to volunteer. Stop volunteering. No, I was just kidding. IUD's crazy. That's what Malamar looks like. Malamar does look like an IUD.
Hypnotizing and mind controlling people. Like, that's kind of cool.
Face Tuxedo Mouse, thank you so much for the 200 bits. I out here auditioning to be the 4th Sanderson sister. I would love to be a Sanderson sister. Also, we started a hype train on Twitch. We started on... How high can we get it?
Weavile's sword entry says they attack their quarry in packs. Prey as large as Mamoswine easily fall to the teamwork of a group of Weavile. That is dope. Weavile hunt in packs and take out mammoths? Like, holy crap, that is awesome. Marini's shield entry says, unlike their Alolan counterparts, the Marini of the Galar region have not yet figured out that the branches of Corsola are delicious. Oh.
They haven't found out yet.
Oh, really? Oh, they haven't discovered that? Oh, well, why could that be? Well, maybe that's because all of the Corsola in the Galar region have ghost branches, which probably don't taste like anything. Hippowdon's sword entry says stones can get stuck in the ports on their bodies. Dwebble help dislodge such stones, so Hippowdon look after these Pokemon. I love this. The earlier Dex entries...
I take back what I said. I was like, I feel like if I was a Hippowdon, I'd be uncomfortable if I had a Dwebble just sitting in one of my holes. That sounded wrong. One of my ports. I don't think that sounded any better. Anyways, Crappy Coder, thank you so much for the 25 bits.
About Dwebble talked about them living in Hippowdon ports, but it never said whether Hippowdon was okay with it. This Dex entry confirms that Hippowdon and Dwebble have a symbiotic relationship.
They love
so
each other.
So Hippowdon's just wandering around the desert with cute little Dwebble living in its ports. That's fun. And I love it. Durant's shield entry says, with their large mandibles, these Pokemon can crunch their way through rock. They work together to protect their eggs from Sandaconda. This is a fun fact because we knew that Heatmore hunted Durant, but we didn't know that Sandaconda also hunts Durant's eggs, so that's interesting. Honage's sword entry says, Honage's soul once belonged to a person who was killed a long time ago by the sword that makes up Honage's body. Okay, hold the F on. We have known for a while that Honage is a sword that was possessed by some spirit, but it is never said before that specifically the spirit that possesses the sword is the person who was killed by the sword. That is horrifying. The Shield Dex entry for Aegislash Blade form says that once upon a time, a king with an Aegislash reigned over the land. His Pokemon eventually drained him of life, and his Pokemon fell with him. I need more information about this story. Was the king cruel to the Aegislash and it finally got its revenge? Or did the Aegislash finally decide, no, I want the power, and then just killed its lifelong best friend? Like, I don't know. It's fascinating and terrifying, and just stay away from Aegislash. Clobopus's shield entry says its tentacles tear off easily, but it isn't alarmed when that happens. It knows they'll grow back. It's about as smart as a 3-year-old. That's just hilarious. It just confirms the intelligence of a Pokemon based on the intelligence of a child. That's just funny. Mantike's sword entry says, Mantike living in Galar seem to be somewhat sluggish. The colder waters of the seas in this region may be the cause. I think that's a fun fact. Mantike and Mantine potentially as well get slower in colder waters. What's interesting to me though is that Mantike also lives in Sinnoh, which is a cold climate as well, but it doesn't say anything about them being slower there too. Type Null's sword entry says, rumor has it that the theft of top secret research notes led to a new instance of this Pokemon being created in the Galar region. That is a really cool story. Of course, we know about Type Null being created by Ether back in the Alola region, but it explains Type Null being here in the Galar region by someone stealing the research from Ether and then traveling to Galar and creating it here. That's really cool. Sligoo's shield entry says the lump on its back contains its tiny brain. It thinks only of food and escaping its enemies.
So like me. I might actually be a Sliggoo, chat.
That's a fun little Pokemon anatomy lesson. The brain of a Sliggoo is in its little hump. Dreepy's sword entry says, after being reborn as a ghost Pokemon, Dreepy wanders the areas it used to inhabit when it was alive in prehistoric seas. That is freaking cool. So is Dreepy a fossil Pokemon, but instead of being revived in the typical way, it was revived in some spiritual way, and it ended up as a ghost Pokemon instead of a Dragon Rock Pokemon?
Who are you escaping from? Don't worry about it.
That's so cool. Dragapult's shield entry says, apparently the Dreepy inside Dragapult's horns eagerly look forward to being launched out at Mach speed. I love
they
that.
Probably
For
think
a while
it's fun.
I was thinking, man, that seems kind of cruel that Dragapult is just firing its children at its enemies, but apparently the Dreepy like it, so that's nice. The Shield Dex entry for Zacian's Hero of Many Battles forms says that this Pokemon has slumbered for many years. Some say it's Zamazenta's elder sister, others say the two Pokemon are rivals. I like this because while legendary Pokemon are technically genderless, this is giving them an associated gender. So Zacian is associated more with the feminine side of things. Although, I don't know whether Zamazenta is also supposed to be feminine, or if it's supposed to be more masculine in their counterparts. I don't know, I just think it's interesting. Now for some interesting Pokedex entries for Gigantamax forms. Gigantamax Orbeetle's shield entry says, if it were to utilize every last bit of its power, it could control the minds of every living being in its vicinity. That's terrifying.
I don't like that.
Stay away from a Gigantamax Orbeetle, or you will be mind controlled, like my goodness. Gigantamax Kingler's shield entry says, the bubbles it spews out are strongly alkaline. Any opponents hit by them will have their bodies quickly melted away. So apparently G-Max Foam Burst just kills things.
Wonderful.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Gigantamax Machamp's shield entry says, one of these Pokemon once used its immeasurable strength to lift a large ship that was in trouble. It then carried the ship to port. I love this Dex entry because a lot of the Gen 7 Mega Evolution Dex entries talk about how they're violent and vicious and just want to fight, and they're just almost seemingly evil creatures. But with Gigantamax Machamp, it rescued a ship. Just like this giant four-armed buff thing walking through the ocean water, picking up a ship and bringing it back to shore. Like, it's heroic. And I think that's awesome. Gigantamax Gengar's shield entry says, it lays traps hoping to steal the lives of those it catches. If you stand in front of its mouth, you'll hear your loved one's voices calling out to you. That is hella disturbing. Is it the voices of passed on loved ones and they're calling to you from the terrible afterlife? Or are they ones that are currently still alive and it's tricking you into coming closer? I don't know, it's terrifying. Gigantamax Colossal's shield entry says, when Galar was hit by a harsh cold wave, this Pokemon served as a giant heating stove and saved many lives. This is another great one. It's another heroic Gigantamax story, which is awesome. I want to hear more about them and not just how they can destroy things. Gigantamax Meowth's sword entry says, the pattern that has appeared on its giant coin is thought to be the key to unlocking the secrets of the Dynamax phenomenon. If that's true,
why does Meowth have the secrets to the Dynamax phenomenon? That's my first question.
It's very straightforward because supposedly that pattern is just the Japanese kanji for large. So the secrets of Dynamax Pokemon is just that they get big. And finally, Gigantamax Lapras's sword entry says, over 5,000 people can ride on its shell at once. And it's a very comfortable ride without the slightest shaking or sway.
Holy shit, that must be a fucking huge ass fucking Lapras.
Seemed like that would be a great business model for them to do some sort of cruise line with Gigantamax Lapras, but it can only stay Gigantamax for 3 turns, and that would be kind of bad if it went back to normal in the middle of the ocean. So there we have it. Those are the Dex entries for Pokemon Sword and Shield that I thought were the most interesting. If I missed any that you think I should have mentioned, let me know them down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support the channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad revenue. If you would like to help support me in the same way and get some cool perks like ad-free and early videos or your names here at the end of the video, the link is in the description below.
We love
Also, if you
you.
want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, including a recent video I just posted to my gameplay channel, you can click over here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans. Gotta catch them all.
Damn, he's so baby in that video. He's so young. He was so young. That was fun. Man, I know a lot of Giganta and Dynamax gets a lot of hate, but I actually really like the Gigantamax and Dynamax mechanic. I thought it was really cool. The Titanic Lapras. No, don't say that. Not the Titanic Lapras. No. Okay. Alrighty, we got the next one. We got every crazy Pokedex entry in Sword and Shield's DLC. So we are gonna get the wonderful burbs.
Greetings, Boogie fans! Michael here, and at the beginning of 2020...
He's still baby.
So...
I mean, this background I think is the one we see nowadays. Oh yeah, this is the end of 2020.
15 years ago, I made a video where I went over every single new Pokedex entry in Pokemon Sword and Shield that I thought was crazy. With crazy being a broad term covering things that I thought were disturbing or shocking or funny or interesting or some new information about an older gen Pokemon that we didn't have before. Today's video will be the exact same thing except for Dex entries in the Sword and Shield expansion pass, the Isle of Armor, and the Crown Tundra. Most of the Dex entries are for older generation Pokemon, but they are still new Dex entries. Starting with the Alola games, they stopped just rehashing the same couple Dex entries for older generation Pokemon. They started making new ones, and they continued that trend in Sword and Shield. So, a lot of the Dex entries are completely brand new, even though the Pokemon are many generations old. This list will be in no particular order. I tried to go generally in Pokedex order, but I might have gotten things mixed up. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and tap that bell for notifications, since less than half of my viewers are subscribble-dibbled. And let's dive in to every crazy Pokedex entry.
I'm gonna use that now. Subscribble-dibble to my channel. And MandJTV's.
In the Sword and Shield expansion pass. We shall begin with Dex entries from the Isle of Armor Pokedex. Dunsparce's sword entry reads, this Pokemon's tiny wings have some scientists saying that Dunsparce used to fly through the sky in ancient times. I love that they acknowledge Dunsparce's wings in more of a way than just, oh, it can float a little. I think it's really cool to acknowledge that probably in ancient times, Dunsparce looked something more like those fake Dunsparce evolutions that are all over the internet.
Those are pretty cool.
And if that's the case, wow, what a hell of a downgrade. Next up are Dex entries for Lickitung, and I think both its Sword and Shield entries are worthy of note. Lickitung's Sword entry reads, if this Pokemon's sticky saliva gets on you and you don't clean it off, an intense itch will set in. The itch won't go away either. Okay, I already thought Lickitung was a gross Pokemon, but now, if it licks you and you don't clean it off, you will itch in that spot forever. That's disgusting and horrifying. And also, how much time do you have? If you don't clean it off, like, what, in a minute? In an hour? I don't like thinking about it.
And then its
Shield entry reads, bug Pokemon are Lickitung's main food source. This Pokemon paralyzes its prey with a lick from its long tongue, then swallows the prey whole. This is the first we learn of Lickitung actually eating bug Pokemon, and eating them whole for that matter, which is very gross. But also, I kind of picture it trying to eat a Scolipede.
Yeah, can it swallow the entirety of Scolipede then, if that's the case?
Not going well. Venipede's sword entry reads, Venipede and Sizzlipede are similar species, but when the two meet, a huge fight ensues.
Who would win, Venipede or Sizzlipede? You know, I think Sizzlipede would win just because it is, I believe, part fire, but I think Venipede is cuter. So automatically, in my book, Venipede wins.
I love it when Pokemon talks about taxonomy or evolutionary branches of the evolutionary tree. So the fact that they acknowledge that two Pokemon whose names end in the same thing are actually related is awesome. Fungus's sword entry reads, no one knows what the Pokeball-like pattern on Fungus means or why Fungus has it.
Maybe Fungus just really liked the design and just wanted it on his little head.
Is hilarious. We know why it's there. It's because when making the Gen 5 games, Black and White, and no old Pokemon were there, they decided, oh, we still want to have a fake item Pokemon. So they made mushrooms with Pokeballs on the top of their heads. But in the Pokemon universe, this acknowledges how deeply illogical it is, because why would these mushrooms mimic metal, man-made devices? It's ridiculous.
Maybe they want to have a home. Maybe they're just like, oh, if I pretend to be a Pokeball, maybe somebody will come grab me and take me home. I don't know.
Word entry reads, at times, Magnemite runs out of electricity and ends up on the ground. If you give batteries to a grounded Magnemite, it'll start moving again. I think this is so cute. Like, if a little Magnemite is tired, just like, get out some batteries. Like, here you go, little guy. Okay. And then he'll be okay. Like, how funny is that? Herdior's sword entry reads, Herdior is a very smart and friendly Pokemon. So much so that there's a theory that Herdior was the first Pokemon to partner with people. I love how this is kind of a nod to dogs being domesticated in ancient times from wolves. So Herdior is a domestic dog Pokemon and is known for working with people, and so it makes sense that it might have been one of the first ones. Maybe Herdior wasn't just deciding to work with people, it was originally some wild wolf Pokemon and ancient Pokemon people domesticated it. I wanted to note that this isn't the first time we've learned about Herdior being one of the very first creatures to work with people. Its Ultra Moon entry reads, it has been living with people for so long that portrayals of it can be found on the walls of caves from long ago. I just really want to see some official Pokemon cave paintings. That would be awesome. Next up are Scizzor's Dex entries, and I'm gonna cover both of them. Its sword entry reads, bulky pincers account for 1/3 of Scizzor's body weight. A single swing of one of these pincers will crush a boulder completely. I'm amused by this because it informs us of the precise weight of Scizzor's pincers. It weighs 260.1 pounds, which means its pincers together weigh 86.7 pounds, which that's like having a 45-pound horse. Muscles are made of metal. How is this possible? No idea. Is it extremely cool sounding? Yes. Palisand's sword entry reads, Palisand is known as the beach nightmare. It pulls its prey down into the sand by controlling the sand itself.
Oh, I don't like
sucks
that.
Out their souls.
Like, imagine like a child at the beach. You bring your family, right, to the beach, having your little old summer vacation. Your kid's like, ooh, Palisand, sandcastle. Let me go and F. Are we back? Oh no. Ruh-roh. We're back. I didn't even see it disconnect. Usually my OBS will tell me. Boobs are back on the screen. Hell yeah, brother. We'll back up. Oh my goodness. Kazu, feel free to cut this part out. We can just stitch this back together. We'll go back to the beginning of Palisand.
Cool sounding? Yes. Palisand's sword entry reads, Palisand is known as the beach nightmare. It pulls its prey down into the sand by controlling the sand itself, and then it sucks out their souls.
Totally not repeating what I said, because the video feed on Twitch didn't like totally cut out, but like that's scary, because like imagine, right, if you're a family, you bring your children to the beach, you know, little summer vacay, whatever, and your children are like, ooh, sandcastle, oh, so cute, and this Palisand just like sucks their fucking souls. That's crazy. Yeah, Palisand ate my baby.
And by controlling the sand itself, and then it sucks out their souls.
I don't like
Lots
that.
of ghost Pokemon are disturbing.
Yeah, maybe
and
Summer
Palisand
in Alola is just not a you probably just don't want to be there.
No exception. Plenty of its previous dex entries talk about how it sucks out the vitality of its targets. However, to me, there's a difference between sucking out the vitality, basically just killing things, and then sucking out their souls. This seems to say that rather than just killing its targets, it turns them into soulless husks. Also, it's called the Beach Nightmare. Xploud's sword entry reads, in the past, people would use the loud voices of these Pokemon as a means of communication between distant cities. This
ouch, my eardrums.
Is amazing. Okay, Xploud, tell him that we need the bread and milk delivered by next Thursday, or else our entire village is going to starve. Okay? You got that? Great, now tell him. Explode, explode, explode! Great, thanks for doing that. I'm sure they understood that and will be totally fine. Skarmory's sword entry reads, the pointed feathers of these Pokemon are sharper than swords. Skarmory and Corviknight fight viciously over territory. I really like it when they acknowledge that they have two Pokemon that are of sort of similar designs, and so they just make them enemies. It's fantastic. I also wanted to mention Skarmory's shield entry, which says people fashion swords from Skarmory's shed feathers. So this Pokemon is a popular element in heraldic designs. I had to look it up, so there's probably a good chance that you didn't know either. But heraldic
after like the feathers, or do they like rip out Skarmory's feathers? Like I don't know. What are they doing?
It basically means coats of arms. You know, those fancy symbols that a lot of families or sports teams in Europe use. So I just think that's really interesting that Skarmory is often featured in those in the Pokemon world because they use its fallen feathers for swords. Could you imagine that? There's just a bird, and when it sheds a feather, it's a sword? Mienshau's sword entry reads, when Mienshao comes across a truly challenging opponent, it will lighten itself by biting off the fur on its arms. I know it's just hair. It's not like biting off its own arm or something crazy like that.
That's still weird.
Still, this seems really intense and kind of metal to me. Volcarona's sword entry reads, Volcarona scatters burning scales. Some say it does this to start fires. Others say it's trying to rescue those that suffer in the cold. I like this entry because
I want to believe the second part, not the first one.
It kind of acknowledges some inconsistencies in Volcarona's other dex entries. A lot of them talk about how when a volcanic eruption darkened the atmosphere in ancient times, it served as the replacement sun. And then some other ones mention that it scatters its embers to help keep suffering small Pokemon warm in the cold. But then its Ultra Sun dex entry says that ancient people feared it and called it the Rage of the Sun. So this new dex entry basically says that that debate is still going on today. Some are saying it's a kind-hearted and altruistic Pokemon, but then others are saying that it's freaking dangerous and is harming everything. So I think it's interesting that this Pokemon is controversial. Seadra's sword entry reads, it's the males that raise the offspring. While Seadra are raising young, the spines on their backs secrete thicker and stronger poison. When I first read this, I was like, oh my God, they did the seahorse thing on the seahorse Pokemon. Turns out this isn't new information because it was mentioned.
Sorry, I might take a little bit of responsibility for that one. My bad.
Before, all the way back in its Crystal Dex entry. But I still wanted to bring it up because I feel like most of you were not aware of this, and also the fact that its poison gets more intense when it's raising its young is new information. So I can still cover it. Kingdra's sword entry reads, with the arrival of a storm at sea, this Pokemon will show itself on the surface. When a Kingdra and a Dragonite meet, a fierce battle ensues. I love this because it's giving me a really badass mental image of a Kingdra and a Dragonite dueling in the middle of an intense storm at sea. Like, that's awesome.
Sick.
Also, it could be referencing the fact that prior to Gen 3, these were the only two fully evolved dragon types. Or maybe it's a reference to Claire and Lance. Petalil's sword entry reads, Petalil appears around sources of clean water. Boiling leaves from this Pokemon's head results in a liquid that's sometimes used as a bug repellent. This is a lot, okay? First off, boiling the leaves from its head, I certainly hope it doesn't hurt when you remove them.
I was about to say,
also it
does
becomes
it
a
hurt
bug
it?
repellent? But only by boiling the leaves? Maybe that explains why Petalil is still weak to bug? Then finally for the Isle of Armor is Galarian Slowking's sword entry, which says a combination of toxins and the shock of evolving has increased Shelder's intelligence to the point that Shelder now controls Slowking. So Galarian Slowking is a zombie. With original Slowking, the Shelder's toxins just made the Slowking more intelligent. This time, the toxins combined with the spices made the Shelder more intelligent, so intelligent that it's now mind controlling the Slowking, which is kind of why it like kind of walks like wobbly like it does. That to me that just freaks me the hell out. So those are all the Isle of Armor dex entries I wanted to cover, but now we can move on to the Crown Tundra. First, we'll cover Jinx's dex entries, both of them. Jinx's sword entry reads, in certain parts of Galar, Jinx was once feared and worshipped as the Queen of Ice. Then its shield entry reads, the Jinx of Galar often have beautiful and delicate voices. Some of these Pokemon have even gathered a fan base. In our world, Jinx is a very unpopular Pokemon. But in Galar, the opposite is true, which is really weird. Magmar's sword entry reads, Magmar dispatches its prey with fire, but it regrets this habit once it realizes that it has burned its intended prey to a charred crisp. I find this dex entry, despite being pretty intense and a little gruesome, also very funny. Magmar's just overdoing it a lot. I also wanted to mention its shield entry, which says these Pokemon's bodies are constantly burning. Magmar are feared as one of the causes behind fires. Oh really, people of the Galar region? This Pokemon that's constantly on fire is feared as a cause of fires? Who could have predicted? Cryogonal's sword entry reads, with its icy chains, Cryogonal freezes those it encounters. It then takes its victims away to somewhere unknown.
Where?
What is it with ice-type Pokemon that float doing evil kidnapping
Yeah, why? I feel like this is just a reoccurring themes with not all the ice types, but quite a few of them. Why are they like this? Why?
Freezing type stuff. Like Cryogonal does it, Frostlass does it. There's probably some other ones too. I also wanted to mention its shield entry. When the weather gets hot, these Pokemon turn into water vapor. Cryogonal are
do they just
almost
die?
never seen during the summer. So this is not actually new information. I thought it was, but a lot of other previous dex entries mentioned that it turns into water vapor when it gets hot. But I still wanted to bring it up because holy crap, Cryogonal turns into water vapor when it gets warm? How does it
is like humidity just Cryogonal?
Swablu's shield entry reads, since Swablu look like a cumulus cloud, foes can have a hard time finding it. Apparently its wings turned white over many generations. So Swablu's wings were not always white. And I'm just wondering, what color were they before? Were they gray, like storm clouds? Or were they just something random, like purple? Nidorina's sword entry reads, the horn on its head has atrophied. It's thought that this happens so Nidorina's children won't get poked while their mother is feeding them. This is a reference to some of Nidorina's previous dex entries where it talks about how it chews up its food and then spits them out for its offspring, like lots of animals do. So this is kind of cool because it explains why it doesn't.
If I chewed food and I spit it in your mouth, would you eat it? I'm sorry. You know, I thought that would sound a little motherly, but I now realize that sounds kind of disgusting. I now realize that sounds really gross.
Doesn't have a horn. It's so that when it leans down to spit the food back out, its eager offspring won't run up and get poked by the horn that's like right there. Nidoqueen's shield entry reads, it pacifies offspring by placing them in the gaps between the spines on its back. The spines will never secrete poison while young are present.
Oh,
I just think that's a really cool evolutionary feature, that Nidoqueen stops secreting poison around its young, and Nidorina doesn't have a horn because of its young. Yet, neither of these Pokemon can breed. Nidorino's sword entry reads, with a horn that's harder than diamond, this Pokemon goes around shattering boulders as it searches for a moonstone. So we've known its horn was harder than diamond, but this is the first we learn of Nidorino actively seeking out a moonstone so it can evolve. That means Nidorino inherently know that they evolve via moonstones, and they are eager to do so. I just think that's really interesting, and it's one of the very few mentions in the Pokemon world of Pokemon actively seeking out methods of evolving, at least with stones. Nidoking's sword entry reads, when it goes on a rampage, it's impossible to control. But in the presence of a Nidoqueen it's lived with for a long time, Nidoking calms down. I just picture the Nidoqueen going like, honey, you need a Snickers. Tyrant's shield entry reads, this Pokemon is selfish and likes to be pampered. It can also inflict grievous wounds on its trainer just by playing around.
So also like me, I want to be selfish and pampered. I want to be treated like a princess, okay? I just want someone who will spoil me.
Today's lesson is don't have a tyrant. Not only can they inadvertently seriously harm you, they're also jerks. Salamence's sword entry reads, Salamence is an unusual Pokemon in that it was able to evolve a body with wings just by constantly wishing to be able to fly. So this is funny to me. It's not new information. Cool. A lot of previous Salamence entries talk about how its fervent wish to fly caused its DNA to mutate. But the wording of this, it was able to evolve a body with wings just by constantly wishing to be able to fly. Just makes it sound like, I wish, haha! Gabite's sword entry reads, this Pokemon emits ultrasonic waves from a protrusion on either side of its head to probe pitch dark caves. So Gabite uses echolocation, except instead of just barking, it's like just emitting waves from its head nubbins. Garchomp's sword entry reads, Garchomp makes its home in volcanic mountains. It flies through the sky as fast as a jet airplane, hunting down as much prey as it can.
My land shark.
And its shield entry reads, Garchomp is fast both underground and above. It can bring down prey and return to its den before its body has chilled from being outside. Did you catch the two relevant parts of those dex entries? It lives near volcanic mountains, and its body can chill from being outside. This is the first dex entry acknowledgement of Garchomp really hating ice. Ammonite's sword entry reads, because some Ammonite manage to escape after being restored or are released into the wild by people, this species is becoming a problem. I was thinking about this when I was playing through the Crown Tundra and seeing wild fossil Pokemon, something that I cannot recall seeing ever at any point in Pokemon. So I was thinking, oh, maybe enough time has passed and they've revived enough of these from fossils that they've gone back into the wild and become functional wild species again. Apparently, I was right, and with Ammonite, I was so right that Ammonite has come back so much that now it's an invasive species. Next are Kabuto's dex entries, and I'm bringing them up because they kind of contradict each other. Its sword entry reads, this species is almost entirely extinct. Kabuto molt every 3 days, making their shells harder and harder. And then its shield entry reads, while some say this species has gone extinct, Kabuto sightings are apparently fairly common in some places. It sounds like the sword entry made a statement, and the shield entry is like, actually, the evolution of Kabuto, Kabutops also has a dex entry contradiction issue. But instead of it being sword and shield contradicting, it's one of the Gen 8 dex entries contradicting with an older gen. Kabutops' shield entry reads, the cause behind the extinction of this species is unknown. Kabutops were aggressive Pokemon that inhabited warm seas. This is in direct contradiction.
Maybe they were just feared. They were just feared.
With its Ultra Sun Dex entry. Its body had begun to change so it could function on land, but it didn't adapt in time and went extinct. Ultra Sun says, oh hey, we know the reason why it went extinct. And then Shield is like, no, we don't know. So like, do we know or do we not know? Aerodactyl's sword entry reads, this is a ferocious Pokemon from ancient times. Apparently, even modern technology is incapable of producing a perfectly restored specimen. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, this, like, any Aerodactyl we've seen is not perfectly restored. But then I realized,
still partially a fossil.
I think this is talking about its mega evolution. Mega Aerodactyl's sun entry says part of its body has become stone. Some scholars claim that this is Aerodactyl's true appearance.
I think this one looks better.
Its Ultra Moon Dex entry for Mega Aerodactyl says Mega Evolution awakened some dormant genes, bringing back the sharp rocks that once covered Aerodactyl's entire body. So a regular restoration of Aerodactyl just makes what we know as Aerodactyl. The extra step of Mega Evolution is required for us to see its true appearance. Golbat's sword entry reads, it loves to drink other creatures' blood. It's said that if it finds others of its kind going hungry, it sometimes shares the blood it's gathered. Aww, look at Golbat being so friendly and sharing the blood it violently sucked from other creatures. Just how nice. But Golbat ain't getting any blood from a Beldum. Beldum's shield entry reads, the cells in this Pokemon's body are composed of magnetic material. Instead of blood, magnetic forces flow through Beldum's body. I love these random anatomy tidbits that make no sense. It's got magnetic forces instead of blood. Forces aren't like visible. That's not a one-to-one replacement. No. One is a liquid. One is a force. Metagross's sword entry reads, because the magnetic powers of these Pokemon get stronger in freezing temperatures, Metagross living on snowy mountains are full of energy. So a lot of pseudo-legendary Pokemon hate the cold, like Garchomp and Salamence and Dragonite, but Metagross, he digs it. Tortuga's shield entry reads, Tortuga is considered to be the ancestor of many turtle Pokemon. It was restored to life from a fossil. The amount of Pokemon theories and Darwinian evolution discussions that I've seen over the years talking about how Tortuga is an ancestor of Lapras and Squirtle and other turtle Pokemon, I've seen a lot. And so I love that this Pokedex entry finally acknowledges and confirms that. Arcan's sword entry reads, this Pokemon was successfully restored from a fossil. As research suggested, Arcan is unable to fly.
Wait, that's
but
so
it's very
sad.
good at jumping. I love that they say this. Somebody passed one, it's like, oh yeah, Arcan, yeah, he can't fly. Yeah, he sucks. But then this one is like, I mean, he can't fly, but he can jump really well. So.
You know, at least there's that.
Archeops' sword entry reads,
it
needs a running start to take off. If Archeops wants to fly, it first needs to run nearly 25 miles per hour, building speed over a course of about 2.5 miles. Most airplane runways are 6,000 feet, which is a bit over 1 mile. So Archeops needs like 2.5 times an airplane runway to take off? My God. Cradilly's sword entry reads, it has short legs and can't walk very fast, but its neck and tentacles can extend to over 3 times their usual length to nab distant prey. Its neck and its tentacles. Do you realize how much of a reach that is? That is, my God, it could be on the other side of a building and catch you. Whoa. Aggron's shield entry reads, long ago there was a king who wore a helmet meant to resemble the head of an Aggron. He was trying to channel the Pokemon's strength. I just think this is a really cool piece of Pokemon universe history. And also that helmet sounds awesome. Dragonite's shield entry reads, this Pokemon is known as the Sea Incarnate. Figureheads that resemble Dragonite decorate the bows of many ships.
It's not me! It's not me! I am offended. I am hurt. I'm just kidding, Dragonite's pretty sick.
So in the Pokemon world, instead of mermaids on the front of ships, You got Dragonites. Registeel's sword entry reads, Registeel's body is made of a strange material that is flexible enough to stretch and shrink, but also more durable than any metal. So not only did we learn that Cradilly can stretch its body to ridiculous lengths, so can Registeel, which I've never seen it do that. That's wild. Regielecki's shield entry reads, its entire body is made up of a single organ that generates electrical energy. Regielecki is capable of creating all of Galar's electricity. Chairman Rose trying to do all that crazy nonsense with the Darkest Day when he could have just taken a train to the south and got a Regielecki. Regidrago's sword entry reads,
honestly, I think this is my favorite Reggie. I think Regidrago is so epic.
Regidrago's arms were once the head of an ancient dragon Pokemon. The theory remains unproven.
So cool.
If it's unproven, why is it in the Pokedex? I love how the Pokedex is just like, oh yeah, here's this really interesting fun fact about this Pokemon.
Well, we don't know if it's true.
That's not verified or real in any way. Come on, Pokedex, improve your journalistic integrity. The next few dex entries are all about the Galarian legendary birds, and they kind of inform us that maybe they're not the legendary birds. Galarian Articuno's shield entry reads, known as Articuno, this Pokemon fires beams that can immobilize opponents as if they had been frozen solid. Galarian Zapdos' sword entry reads, when its feathers rub together, they produce a crackling sound like the zapping of electricity. That's why this Pokemon is called Zapdos. Then Galarian Moltres' shield entry reads,
I love Galarian
the sinister
Moltres.
aura that blazes like molten fire around this Pokemon is what inspired the name Moltres. Known as Articuno, is called Zapdos, inspired the name
it's
Moltres.
like not confirming that's
These dex entries seem to imply that the legendary Galarian birds are not just variants of the original legendary birds.
Look like them.
They're totally separate Pokemon that just bear a resemblance to the Kanto legendary birds. So the people of the region just, oh hey, that looks kind of like Zapdos, that must be Zapdos, and the Pokedex classifies them as such. But the reality seems to be that they're totally different Pokemon. Spectreer's sword entry reads, it probes its surroundings with all its senses save one. It doesn't use its sense of sight. Spectreer's kicks are said to separate soul from body. I just wanted to mention this because I think it's kind of amusing. It makes me picture the scene from Doctor Strange where they like punch him in the stomach and like, oh, suddenly I'm astral projecting. And I just picture Spectreer just going around doing that. Ice Rider Calorex's sword entry reads, according to lore, this Pokemon showed no mercy to those who got in its way, yet it would heal its opponent's wounds after battle. What an interesting character Calyrex is. It brutally defeats anyone who gets in its way, but
it's kind to them or is Calyrex the rider? I'm confused. Or is it both? Ghost types, am I right? Ghost types be wildin'.
It's kind of
the rider. Oh, okay.
Weird. Then finally, Shadow Rider Calorex's shield entry says, legend says that by using its power to see all events from past to future, this Pokemon saved the creatures of a forest from a meteorite strike. Is it just Shadow Rider Calyrex that can see all events from past to future? Because regular Calyrex couldn't remember anything. But this one could see the future and stopped a meteorite strike. Like, what an upgrade just by hopping on a horse. Thank you so much for watching, and an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates. If you want to help support me in the same way, the link is in the description below.
We love you, Mikey.
Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans. Gotta catch them all. Go.
Oh my god. That was fun. I enjoyed that one. I honestly think, I think the coolest ones were definitely like the birds, because it does imply that the birds don't actually they're not the actual fucking legendaries. They just look like them. So the Galarians are just like, yeah, we'll just call it those. We'll just call it those. No biggie. How old is this video? My god, this was in 2020. Or this next one is not in 2020. This one's in 2020.
Greetings, Boogie.
This one was in November 3rd, 2020, almost exactly 5 years ago. Almost exactly. That's insane to me. Man. All right. The next one we have up is every crazy Pokedex entry in Pokemon Legends Arceus, whatever you call it. It's, to me, it's all the same, okay? It's all the same. Which I'll find interesting because, like, because this Pokemon game technically takes place in the past, I think it'll highlight some more lore for some certain Pokemon.
Greetings, Pokefans! Michael here.
Oh my god, he has a beard now. He's not baby anymore. 2022. This one's a little more recent. Yeah, he grew a beard and his voice deepened. Yeah, no, he definitely had a higher pitched voice in the earlier videos. Now he's a man, you know? MandJTV, the M stands for man.
Pokemon Legends Arceus, Arceus, has what I believe to be the most interesting Pokedex in Pokemon history.
I prefer him with facial hair.
It was written in the past by Professor Laventon, who is being exposed to and learning about these Pokemon genuinely for the first time.
This was during a time where people actually genuinely feared Pokemon.
Opposed to modern day Pokedexes, where we've theoretically known a lot more about Pokemon for a lot longer. I wanted to dive deep into this new old Pokedex, so I read through every single dex entry and compiled a list of those that I thought were the most worthy of note, due to being crazy or disturbing or funny or new information about old Pokemon or something else. Also, in case it's not obvious, this video will include spoilers for new Pokemon and new forms. So if you don't want to see those, then I'm not entirely sure why you clicked on the video. Hisui in Decidueye's dex entry says the air stored inside the rechices of Decidueye's feathers insulates the Pokemon against Hisui's extreme cold. This is firm proof that evolution can be influenced by environment.
Yes.
This dex entry simply explains why Hisui in Decidueye exists. It adapted to the harsh cold of the Hisui/Sinnoh region. Hisui in Typhlosion's entry reads, said to purify lost, forsaken souls with its flames and guide them to the afterlife. I believe its form has been influenced by the energy of the sacred mountain towering at Hisui's center. So
I will never forget. I will never forget you, Hisui and Typhlosion. If you guys know what I mean, which if you don't, then let's keep it that way.
Instead of adapting to the cold like Decidueye, Typhlosion adapted to the magic of the mountain? Oshawott entry says this Pokemon from the Unova region uses the shell on its belly as a weapon to cut down its foes. Thus, I've conferred upon this shell the name Scalchop. We've known forever that Oshawott's shell is called the Scalchop, but we didn't know that Professor Laventon was the one to name it that. Hisui in SamurArt's entry says, Heart of Heart and Deft of Blade. This rare form of SamurArt is a product of the Pokemon's evolution in the region of Hisui. Its turbulent blows crash into foes like ceaseless pounding waves. I thought this one was worthy of note because Decidueye and Typhlosion got explanations for why their forms exist, and SamurArt did not. It just says this is what happens when it evolves in Hisui, so I don't really know why it was counted out here. Bidoof's entry says Bidoof has an unsophisticated face and is rarely flustered by anything. There have been incidents involving Bidoof sauntering into villages, how the trash cloak is more comfortable.
My bad. I did not mean to skip. Where did we go? We were here.
Houses without a single care. This game is the first time Bidoof has been labeled as a pest, which is so rude. How dare they slander our lord? Babaro's entry says Babaro's fur repels water and is also a fantastic material for heat retention. These Pokemon create dams on rivers to live in. We knew about the dams, but the first sentence sticks out to me. It repels water, which kind of makes sense, but the line about heat retention is interesting. Are they saying that because that's how Babero does well in the relatively cold climate of Hisui? Or are they saying that because people are making clothes out of it? Staravia's entry says they form remarkably large flocks and are constantly fighting amongst themselves. I suspect that those with magnificent plumes on their heads are the strong ones. We know about the flocks and the fighting amongst themselves, but the theory that the larger plumes is the stronger Staravia, I think is interesting, because when it becomes a Staraptor, its plume becomes a whole emo
It's
hair
like-
thing.
Yeah,
So the
maybe
longer it
it's
is,
like it looks like a
more
blade
likely
almost.
to evolve, maybe. Luxio's entry says, proudly uses its electrified claws as weapons. It seems to be a gracious Pokemon, evenly sharing the spoils of the hunt with others of its kind. This is the first time we've learned that Luxio is a team player. Luxray's entry says they form packs, each having one male as leader. Legends say that when Luxray's two eyes shimmer with gold, the Pokemon can see through anything. The first part is interesting because this is the first time we've learned that Luxray don't just live in packs, but they live in packs with the same organizational patriarchal structure as lions. So that's really cool. But the second part is also interesting because it says legends say, which means that Professor Laventon doesn't know for certain that Luxray has X-ray vision, which we do know that in modern Pokemon games, but it also means that someone figured that out before Professor Laventon.
That's
and it
so
somehow became a legend.
strange.
Beautifly's entry says, a colorful and incredibly beautiful, but also greedy Pokemon. In an effort to keep its favorite food all to itself, it will chase away Combee as they try to gather nectar. We've known for a while that Beautifly is a jerk, but we didn't previously know that.
Don't let Beautifly's really cute appearance fool you. This Pokemon is an asshole.
Beautifly would harass and steal from Combee specifically. Cascoon's entry says the silk coating its body is thin but sufficiently strong. Cascoon's silk has a luster and texture superior to that of Silcoon's, and clothes made using Cascoon silk are regarded as top-notch. This is the first mention of Cascoon having higher quality silk than Silcoon, which surprises me. Silcoon has silk in its name and is not the one who ends up becoming a poison type. It's also the first time we hear of Cascoon silk being used to make clothing. Top-notch clothing at that. Just like my Pokemon Legends Goose shirt. It's not made of Cascoon silk, but it feels so good it might as well have been. It's available at MandJTVmerch.com, but is going away very, very soon. Like days, if not mere hours. So if you want one,
You know what? I'm very
curious.
I'm curious. What is on his website? I low-key kind of want merch. What is on your website? Okay, we got some Team Sky, MandJTV anniversary or university desk mat. Oh man, yeah. I mean, he did say he was gonna go, but this is so cool. I would love a Team Sky shirt. Maybe I'll buy one. I think I actually kind of prefer this one. It's a little more low key. Sick. Sorry, I had to take a look.
The link's in the description below, MandJTVmerch.com. Driftblim's entry says, it drifts along at dusk, perfectly silent. Its transient, melancholy aspect touches some people deeply. Every so often, one will come upon a song or poem devoted to Driftblim. I think this is hilarious. I love how in previous generations Dex entries it talks about how Driftblim carries people off to the afterlife and how the gas inside its body is actually souls. But then, here, it's like, aw, he looks so melancholy and quiet. I'm gonna write a song. Weasel's entry says it moves freely in the water by spinning its forked tail for propulsion. The resemblance to the screw of a steamboat is coincidental. Obviously, we know that Weasel's design was partially based on the screw of a boat. However, in universe, it's kind of interesting to see Professor Laventon go, oh yeah, these things are similar, but it's just a coincidence. Floatzel's entry says, has a long, rather splendid flotation sac, which prevents Floatzel from drowning even in stormy seas. One might glimpse this species around fishing hamlets from time to time. I'm including this entry solely for the fact that I think it's funny that Laventon calls its flotation sac rather splendid. The next entries are those for Burmy and Wormadam. All 6 of them. This is the first time that we've gotten unique Dex entries for every single one of their forms. And it provides some interesting insight into the differences between each of them. If its cloak is even slightly damaged, Burmy will immediately repair it with whatever is close at hand. The Pokemon within the cloak is scrawny and vulnerable to the cold. It creates a cloak by weaving together sand, mud, and silk it has spat out. This earthen cloak is ruined by wind and rain, so the Pokemon hides away in caves and other such places. When confronted by a lack of other materials, Burmy will create its cloak using dust and refuse. The cloak seems to be more comfortable than one would think. The cloak, fashioned from plant matter, has merged with the Pokemon and is now part of the body, like fur or skin. I suspect this fusion is an effect of the energy evolved in evolution. Its earthen skin is reasonably hard.
Interesting.
It has no problem repelling a Starly's pecking, at least. Its body, composed of refuse, blends into the scenery so much as to be inconspicuous. This seems to be the perfect way for the Pokemon to evade the detection of predators. There's a lot of fun tidbits in there.
It
like
is.
Burmese sand cloak, not just being the result of being around sand and dirt, but also because it moves to caves to keep that cloak from getting destroyed. And how the trash cloak is more comfortable, and how Wormadam's trash cloak is the best camouflage, which is not what you'd expect, but if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because most predators aren't gonna be trying to eat trash. Unless it's a raccoon. Golem's entry says the rock-like shell is shed each year. The cast-off shell then crumbles, reverting to a mass of soil, which can be spread across fields to promote crop growth. We've known for a while that Golem sheds its shell, but we didn't know that the shell became very fertile soil. So, guess it makes sense to keep a Golem around, so when it sheds its shell, you can make plants grow well. Oh, I kind of rhymed there. That was fun. Weird Ear's entry says, the black orbs shine with an uncanny light when the Pokemon is erecting invisible barriers. The fur shed from its beard retains heat well and is a highly useful material for winter clothing. Obviously, Weird Ear is a new Pokemon, so any information about it is going to be new. However, I'm not gonna cover every single new Pokemon's entry, only if it's something that I think stands out, like Weird Ear's beard hair being used to make very nice winter clothing. Munchlax's entry says its robust stomach allows it to nonchalantly devour even rotted matter. It pays frequent visits to villages, seeking out food scraps intended for compost. This is kind of like the Bidoof entry, another tidbit into the past about how Munchlax would wander into villages and eat out of their trash cans. So it's like a raccoon. Snorlax's entry says, this glutton appears in villages without warning and devours the entirety of their rice granaries. Such occurrences have long been counted among the gravest of disasters.
That's not good.
That's horrifying.
He just eats the fucking entire village's like food supply.
We've known for a while that Pokemon can harm people. That's kind of the central premise of this game. But even in previous generations, we knew that. Like, talk about how Gyarados can just burn a village to the ground, and how I feel like Gyarados was probably the Pokemon that destroyed Commander Comodo's village and killed a bunch of people before the events of Legends Arceus. But all of those are situations of Pokemon directly attacking people and structures. But this Snorlax situation is different. And it's also not how Snorlax has been portrayed in the past. Lots of its previous Dex entries just talk about how hungry it is, and how it sleeps a lot, and how it's docile. They literally talk about children playing on its belly. But this reveals that, at least in the past, Snorlax would starve entire villages of people by eating all of their food. I don't know about you, but I find it deeply unsettling that this Pokemon harmed people not just by attacking them, but by creating a famine. And yes, an argument could be made that maybe this is better because it's not directly killing people, and so they have time to recover and find other food sources. But the fact that the Dex entry says that this is counted among the gravest of disasters means that the people that this happened to probably didn't recover. And instead of just dying quickly to a hyper beam, they had a long, slow,
painful
death by starvation. Oh my God. Ha! It is I, Grunty Boy! Hey, man. Oh, did you get new Raycon earbuds? That I did. They're sponsoring this video and were kind enough to provide me with them. Cool. But why blue? I feel like blue is kind of more my color, whereas yours are more red and black. Oh, I just chose it to represent the tears of my enemies. But regardless of the color, I'm always sticking with Raycon earbuds. The everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. And they have the perfect gel tips with multiple sizes, so you can always get the perfect fit. Look! Nothing! I totally agree. I love using mine to listen to music while I'm exercising, since moving around a lot with wired headphones isn't really practical. I know, right? It's like trying to go for a leisurely jog, but with a long, thin worm giving you way too much physical affection. Preach. And they're so reasonably priced. Quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands, and it's clear people love them due to their 48,000 5-star reviews. Not to mention their 8 hours of playtime with 32 hours using the charging case. Click the link in the description below or go to buyraycon.com/MandJTV to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. You know, I gotta ask this, why is the link never /GruntyBoy? You don't run the channel. I'm a part of every sponsorship.
Part of the channel.
That's not enough. What? Ugh, keep up your sass or you'll be added to the pool of people whose tears this color represents. Ta-ta!
I'm not scared of you,
says
grunty
it can discharge
boy.
bursts of electricity exceeding 100,000 volts. A single strike with that amount of power would incapacitate one of the Kaparaja of my homeland. 2 things about this. The first is that this is taking the Fire Red Dex entry and replacing Indian Elephant with Kaparaja, which I guess makes sense. It was weird that they talked about real animals in the first place. And secondly,
yeah,
this
that
entry
is a little strange.
basically confirms that Professor Laventon is from Galar, because Galar is the only place we are currently aware of where you can find a Kaparaja. Actually, my editor Katie just sent this to me right after I finished recording, and Kaparaja's sword entry says they came over from another region long ago. So maybe Laventon isn't from Galar, and it's from wherever Kaparaja is originally from. Chimchar's entry says, full of vigor and always in high spirits. It was once known by the name Lantern Tail, and feared as some kind of apparition. I think it's funny how people in the past are so dumb. They thought this tiny little monkey was a ghost. Monferno's entry reads, the deeper the blue on its face, the more powerful it will grow to become. It leaps about every which way and lands powerful blows against its opponents with the flame on its tail. This is interesting to me because it seems to be in direct opposition to a previous Dex entry. Monferno's Heart Gold Soul Silver entry says that the brighter blue on its face, the higher rank in the pack it is. The deeper blue, the more powerful it will become. The brighter blue, the higher rank in the pack. So either it's contradictory, or the brighter blue are the more powerful as Monferno, but then end up less likely to evolve. And the deeper blue ones end up in Fernape and then are stronger than everything else and go out on their own. I don't know. Baniri's entry says, my hypothesis as to why Baniri rolls up its ears is that its hearing is far too keen. I surmise that the Pokemon protects its hearing by limiting the sound that may enter its ears. This is interesting because it's just a hypothesis. Professor Laventon is theorizing why Baniri rolls up its ears.
Actual fact.
And either this is a new observation other Dex entries never made, or he's just wrong. Other Dex entries talk about how it keeps its ears rolled up when it's scared, as basically a defense mechanism. Because when it unrolls its ears, it's powerful enough to shatter boulders. Okay, so I wanted to bring up this entry because according to the knowledge that we supposedly have in modern days, Professor Laventon is wrong. Baniri doesn't keep its ears rolled up to limit its hearing, it keeps them rolled up so that if it gets attacked, it can fight back. Cherubi's entry says, once the fruit growing alongside the main body is large and plump, Cherubi will use the nutrients within to evolve. The fruit then detaches, becoming nourishment for other creatures. A lot of Cherubi's previous entries talk about how the small fruit stores the energy needed for evolution, but none of them talk about the fruit falling off and then being eaten by other Pokemon. Psyduck's entry says, suffers perpetual headaches. If the agony grows too great, Psyduck's latent power erupts, contrary to Psyduck's intent. Ergo, I am exploring ways to ease the pain. I just think this is cute. Professor Laventon learns about Psyduck's...
Did they ever come up with a way to make it so Psyduck isn't in pain anymore? Man, it reminds me of the scene in Detective Pikachu where Psyduck's headache just exploded. Not exploded everything, but like everybody around got like hit with a big, big force. Which tells me maybe they didn't find a way. Give this duck some ibuprofen.
Headaches. And then immediately is like, I want to figure out a way to help them. Vespiquen's entry says, commands its subjects to build its hive. It will dispatch any interlopers who dare sneak into its nest and use them as nourishment for itself. Ooh, this is the first time we hear about Vespiquen eating Pokemon that invade its hive. Which is like not that surprising, but this is the first time we've heard about it. Cleavor's entry says, a violent creature that fells towering trees with its crude axes and shields itself with hard stone. If one should chance upon this Pokemon in the wilds, one's only recourse is to flee. I just thought this was fun and ominous. And also incorrect.
It is fun and
I dealt with a Kleavor by throwing bags of dust at it. Apom's entry says, this treetop dweller possesses a tail as dexterous as a hand. Ancient writings describe this Pokemon as a one-armed oddity. This is interesting because while
Just
other Dex
monkeying
entries have
around.
talked about how its tail is more useful than its arms, how its arms get clumsy because it rarely uses them, it's the first time we hear about
tail is
ancient
weak.
people,
Or not tail, the
like
arms are
200
weak.
years ago Jubilee Village people, ancient people actually thinking Apom only had one arm. Ambipom's entry says, to affirm their kinship, members of this species will form a ring by linking their newly doubled tails together. On rare occasions, humans have been accepted into such rings. We've known about Ambipom's hand-holding friendship circles for a while, but we didn't know that people could be in them, which doesn't that sound nice?
It
Just
does.
holding hands with Pokemon singing Kumbaya. Gastrodon's
That does
West
sound
Sea
nice.
form entry says it eats beach sand for nourishment. Should one Gastrodon encounter another of a different color, a fierce battle will inevitably ensue. First off, we didn't know Gastrodon had some prejudices, but also this entry directly conflicts with another
That's
entry.
one way to put it.
It says that Gastrodon eat beach sand, but then its moon entry says that it eats plankton. So like,
Which one is it?
which one is it? Is it both? Does it differ on the region? I don't know. Overquill's entry says
Maybe
its
times of
lance-like
year?
spikes and savage temperament have earned it the nickname Sea Fiend. It slurps up poison to nourish itself. I wanted to talk about this one to first acknowledge that Overquill is one of my favorite Pokemon names they've ever come up with, but also because I don't understand the logistics. Like, it creates poison, but then also eats poison. So can it eat the poison that it creates? Or is this like a Natsu situation where he can't eat his own fire?
Fairy Tale mentioned.
I don't know. Hapini's entry said,
Fairy Tale mentioned in an MandJTV video was not on my bingo card.
as an imitation of Chansey, it keeps a round stone tucked into its belly pouch and cherishes it dearly. It gets along with children and will sometimes play house with them for fun. I just thought that was cute. Roselia's entry says, though beautiful, it has highly poisonous thorns. There's an old tradition in my homeland wherein one would send these thorns to an opponent to challenge them to a duel. First off, we should acknowledge that dueling is one of the stupidest things mankind has come up with. Like, oh, we had an argument, let's shoot each other. And apparently, they did it in Galar and challenged each other by mailing Roselia thorns to each other. Which is so odd, but kind of badass. Hisuian
Yeah,
Lilligant's
it's
Dex entry
definitely
says,
a-
I suspect that its well-developed
a power
legs are the
move."
result of a life spent on mountains covered in deep snow. The scent it exudes from its flower crown heartens those in proximity. Well, he does say suspect, so we don't know 100% for certain. This is Hisuian Lilligant's only Dex entry, so we're gonna go with it. I thought it was interesting that this Lilligant would choose to live in snowy mountains. Like, it's a grass fighting type. It has no ice aspect to it, like Abomasnow does. So the fact that it lives in snow, despite being weak to ice, is kind of like, wow, this thing's hardcore. Gardevoir's entry says it will dedicate itself to defending a master it has come to adore. Its pure white dress, reminiscent of those worn by ladies of nobility, is the dress of one who is willing to risk their life. Couple things, we've known that Gardevoir's a Pokemon that'll risk its life for its master, but I just think the wording of this, the dress it wears is a dress of one willing to risk its life, is kind of over the top and kind of funny. But also the fact that it calls it a dress is interesting. It doesn't just call it a part of its body.
It's
So-
a piece of clothing.
That's a bit unusual. And also, apparently, the
It
ladies of
is.
nobility, either in Galar, Laventon's homeland, or if there are any ladies of nobility in the Hisui region, I haven't seen any. Well, regardless of where they are, they wear white dresses. Like they're all getting married at once. Yanma's entry says its frail wings are so thin that one can see clear through them. However, during flight, these wings exhibit the power to churn air with a force enough to launch a house skyward.
What?
Holy crap, Yanma.
What
Other
the
Dex
fuck?
entries talked about how it could shatter glass, but lift a house? Are the Hisuian Yanma just extra shredded? Pachirisu's entry says a species related to the Pikachu line. Though Pachirisu is a calm Pokemon, it still presents a danger should one touch its electrified tail or cheeks. This is the first instance of a Dex entry directly acknowledging that a Pikachu clone is a Pikachu clone. Stunky's entry says, the poison that gushes from its aft end is accompanied by an utterly evil-smelling odor with such potency that one whiff can induce memory loss. Other Stunky entries have talked about how it has other effects like causing you to faint, but causing you to just have memory loss is like, that might be even scarier. Skunktank's entry says, sprays a poisonous fluid to take down prey. Sometimes, unable to stomach the stench of its own fluid, it leaves the bested prey uneaten. This is amazing. Skunktank smells so bad that it itself will sometimes be like, oh, might have overdone it a bit. I'm not hungry anymore. Teddy Ursa's entry says it licks its paws because of the sweet honey that has soaked into them. It is cunning, stealing into the nests of comb-bee, and taking for itself the honey that the comb-bee have amassed. We've known for a while that Teddy Ursa is obsessed with honey, but this is the first time it explicitly mentions that it goes after comb-bee's honey. However, that also means, because of Vespiquen's Dex entry, that probably more than once, a Vespiquen has eaten a Teddy Ursa. Ursaluna's entry says, I believe it was—
oh, look, it's Freddy Fazbear. My baby, I love him. Imagining smelling so bad that even you gag at it. You know, that's what I wonder, right? Sometimes when I go to like TCG locals and like someone smells like dookie, I'm like, can you smell yourself, or are you really that nose blind? Like, I feel like that's I feel like if you smell really bad, you should be able to smell it, but I don't know. Nose blindness is a thing.
Hisui swampy terrain that gave Ursaluna its burly physique and newfound capacity to manipulate peat at will. Another explanation of a Hisuian form/evolution. It's just the much swampier terrain compared to other regions. Sliggoo's entry says, a creature given to melancholy. I suspect its metallic shell developed as a result of the mucus on its skin reacting with the iron in Hisui's water. Two things. One, it developed a shell because there's more iron in the water, so that's interesting. And two, it's always sad. Just given to melancholy, which kind of makes me a little sad. Hisuian Gudra's entry says, able to freely control the hardness of its metallic shell. It loathes solitude and is extremely clingy. It will fume and run riot if those dearest to it ever leave its side.
So like a clingy girlfriend. AKA me. You know, I will say it's kind of sweet that, you know, the Gudra cares this much, but
I think it's cool that it can control the hardness of its shell. That's really interesting. And also,
so
this reveals that Gudra is still a Gudra. Rhyhorn's entry says, ludicrously strong. When it butts head with a mountain, it is the mountain that shatters. But its short legs struggle with turns, and it is incapable of stopping unless it collides with something. Apparently, the Rhyhorn and Hisui are on some kind of steroids, because the other Dex entries talk about how it can shatter skyscrapers, not mountains. Sudowoodo's entry says, though it pretends to be a tree, it fails to fool even children. To the touch, its body feels more like a rock than tree bark. Sudowoodo's extreme aversion to water merits special note. The later parts of that, we've known that. But the first part is so funny. Sudowoodo's so bad at its job that children can tell it's not a tree. Togetic's entry says, no records exist of Togetic being seen in the wilds. Rumors abound that it evolves under the loving care of a trusted human companion, upon whom the Pokemon then bestows great joy.
This one wholesome.
Is nonsense. There's literally a Togetic in the wild in Legends Arceus. I caught it. I used it on my team. The next entries are those for Porygon, Porygon 2, and Porygon Z. These Pokemon are ones created in modern times, and the only way they're obtainable in the Hisui region, 200 or so years in the past, is through space-time rifts, where they have shown up there, yoinked through space and time. So the Dex entries Professor Laventon writes for them, because he can't find them anywhere else, and they evolve technology that doesn't exist.
You know, I'm just very curious. Porygon is just one of those like interesting Pokemon where it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to be? Where did you come from?
Really fascinating. It has no discernible heartbeat and does not seem to draw
What
breath.
is it?
And yet it appears to function without issue. I cannot
Virtual
even begin to
Pokemon?
explain.
How did this exist in Hisui? How?
This utterly bizarre anomaly. A bizarre item caused this Pokemon to evolve. While it now exhibits many new gestures and expressions, its biology remains inscrutable. A curious item induced this evolution. The Pokemon's offensive capabilities have greatly increased, but the strangeness of its behavior has magnified in equal measure. This worries me. So Professor Laventon clearly has no idea how this modern technology Pokemon works.
It's a Digiduck.
Which makes perfect sense. He's also freaked out by Porygon Z, which I kind of get. Murkrow's entry says, widely shunned as a bearer of ill fortune. Upon crossing paths with this creature, I've been told one must chant, Workrum, bad luck, don't come, as a protective incantation.
Oh my god, they're that scared of this little bird with their hand.
I have Googled the word Workrum and can't find anything.
They just made it up.
So
Workrum is just Murkrow, but backwards. Wait, is it really? Oh my god, it is! They're just trying to like reverse, they're just reversing the bad energy. They're like, no, don't come near me. Don't. Wait, that's so funny, hello?
They're telling people 100 years ago to just chant nonsense when you see a Murkrow? I don't know, it's very weird. Also, before we move on to the next Dex entry, don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
Pretty please, that'd be great.
That would be great. Go sub.
We'll have a great time, I promise.
MandJTV.
Unknown's entry says, it is hard to believe these strangely shaped Pokemon are truly living creatures. I've pointed out that the species' many forms resemble writing from other lands. No one will take me seriously. This one, I'm just kind of offended on Professor Laventon's behalf. Unknown, like the unknown writing is just pictures of unknown. Why would they take him seriously? Celio's entry says its white whiskers are very sensitive. Celia will balance Sfeel on the tip of its nose, checking its scent and its feel to be sure the Sfeel is healthy. Apparently the Celio in the Hisui region are more caring than in other regions. That's because its Sapphire entry says Celio often balances and rolls things on the tip of its nose. While the Pokemon is rolling something, it checks the object's aroma and texture to determine whether it likes the object or not. Other entries talk about Celio balancing Sfeel on its nose, but not about how it's checking to make sure the Sfeel is healthy, and I just think that's sweet. Remory's entry says, spits water from its mouth with incredible accuracy. It captures Burmy by shooting them down off the branches from which they dangle. This is the first we've learned about Remoraid hunting Burmy. All its other entries mention flying prey, and looks like Burmy would probably be a lot easier to hit. Octillery's entry says, while Octillery still shoots water from its mouth, the drastic anatomical difference between it and Remoraid meant that for a long time, no one believed the former evolved from the latter. The Pokedex is officially acknowledging the crazy difference between Remoraid and Octillery, and how they evolve into each other makes very little sense. And I love that they acknowledge that. Perugly's entry says, though impudent and difficult to tame, Perugly enjoys great popularity due to its fur, the beauty of which surpasses even Velveteen. Perugly has nice fur, which we did not know before this. Chatot entry says, a versatile performer skilled in the imitation of human speech. It is said that older, more experienced Chatot can even understand the meaning of the words they mimic. This is the first time it's been acknowledged that Chatot can learn the meaning of the words. So Chatot can be kind of smart. Dusknoir's Dex entry says, comes to those whose lives have come to an end and escorts their souls to the afterlife. Known to mistakenly take the souls of those who yet have life left in them, albeit rarely. Dusknoir accidentally steals souls of people who aren't dead, considering Dusknoir's
he's just trying to do his job, okay? He's just trying to do his job.
Of putting prey in its belly, eating the soul, and then spitting out the soulless body, I'm not that surprised. Hisuian Basculine's entry says, though it differs from other Basculin in several respects, including demeanor, this one is gentle, I've categorized it as a regional form given the vast array of shared qualities. I think this is fascinating. Basculin in other regions are very violent and very aggressive, but Hisuian Basculin is gentle and in fact, very timid. It is so quick to run away, and it is so hard to hit Pokemon in the water. Do you know how long it took me to catch a Basculin? Basculegion's entry says, clads itself in the souls of comrades that perished before fulfilling their goals of journeying upstream. No other species throughout all Hisui's rivers is Basculegion's equal. We knew this about Basculegion before the game came out, because they just told us this, but it is still just insane that Basculegion's whole thing is that it's a collection of a bunch of dead Basculin. Finneon's entry says, what a gorgeous sight this Pokemon is as it swims with its long, pink-painted caudal fins fluttering behind it. Finneon's beautiful appearance has led to its nickname, Finery Fish. A lot of its other entries say that its nickname is the Beautifly of the Sea. So this Finery Fish nickname is apparently what they called it in the older times. Gliscor's entry says,
he's just carrying the will of all of his friends. You know, I think friends is a little bit of a stretch, you know? It's a tiny bit of a stretch. I don't know if it's friends, I don't know. Enemies, sworn enemies.
Wings and sinks sharp fangs into the throat of its prey. It takes on a look of satisfaction once it has entirely drained its prey of blood. Gliscor, I love you, man.
Vampire.
But holy crap. None of its previous dex entries talk about it draining blood, much less draining
me suck your dick.
your blood. The blood and then being satisfied about it.
Yeah.
And that is quite disturbing. I still really like it though. Very cool. Next, I wanted to talk about the dex entries for Rotom's various appliance forms.
I love
the fact that you can get these in the Hisui region is kind of a gag, frankly, because somehow you can get the appliances from Ginter despite no one knowing what they are except the player.
They must be like,
and the dex
what the
entries
fuck is
reflect
this?
that. The oven is called a strange cauldron. The washing machine is called an odd bureau. The fridge is called a bizarre cupboard. The fan is called a mysterious contraption. And the lawnmower is called a misshapen wheelbarrow. This is what I was talking about why this Pokedex is interesting. Because we know about this technology, but the writers of the decks don't, and I just think that's fun. Miss Magus' dex entry says, the incantations Miss Magus chants can ward against misfortune, so a custom exists of inviting it into one's home. Incur the Pokemon's displeasure, however, and disaster will surely ensue. Previous entries talk about how Miss Magus' incantations can either curse people or occasionally do nice things, but this is the first time we've known about a custom of inviting it into your house. Seems like quite the risk, in my opinion. Clefable's entry says,
War against misfortune, League of Legends mentioned! I'm a T1 fan.
Clear quiet nights,
I will
it listens
kiss
for
Faker.
The voices of its kin living on the moon.
Whatever, like brainworms that Faker, sorry, I have to mention this because League of Legends mentioned. Not really. But whatever brainworms that Faker has in his brain, and I want it. I want to be infected by those. I want to be smart like him.
And think of my homeland so far away. I wanted to mention this not because of anything about Clefable, just because I think it's sweet that Professor Laventon is writing in homesickness into the Pokedex. Johtoan Sneasel's dex entry says, this Pokemon shares roots with the Sneasel of Hisui, but unlike that species, this one is spiteful in personality. I hypothesize that water and earth can affect Sneasel's mind and body. This entry actually gives us more information about Hisui and Sneasel, that it's not spiteful. It's a poison type, but it's not a jerk, apparently. Also the mentioning of I hypothesize that water and earth can affect Sneasel's mind and body.
Tylenol.
Is kind of I expect that environment can cause regional variance, which is like, why did you even say that, dude? You've said that elsewhere in the Pokedex. Frostlass's entry says, a Pokemon inhabited by the soul of a woman who died bearing a grudge in the snowy mountains.
Oh.
Legends of Frostlass placing deathly curses on misbehaving men sends shivers down my spine. The legend about Frostlass being a reincarnated woman who died in the mountains, that's been around.
Yeah.
But not the part about it placing curses on misbehaving men. Boys, men, treat women with respect because you just should, but also because a Frostlass could curse you.
You know what? She's real for that.
Zorua's dex entry says, a once
Be good,
departed
boys.
soul returned to life in Hisui, derives power from resentment, which rises as energy atop its head and takes on the forms of foes. In this way, Zorua vents lingering malice. Like with Basculegion, we knew about this before release, but it's still very disturbing. Hisuian's Zoraworks entry says, with its disheveled white fur, it looks like an embodiment of death. Heedless of its own safety, Zoroark attacks its nemesis with a bitter energy so intense, it lacerates Zoroark's own body. Oh my God! We knew that
What
Hisuian
the fuck?
Zorua and Zoroark, super dark Pokemon. Like, vengeful, malice, treated poorly, died, came back to life, but like, Zoroark attacking and lacerating its own body and not caring because it's
so sad.
anger-filled is really dark. And it's not even a
it's
dark
really
type
sad.
anymore. Hisuian Braviary's entry says, screaming a blood-curdling battle cry, this huge and ferocious Pokemon goes out on the hunt. It blasts lakes with shockwaves, then scoops up any prey that float to the water's surface.
Oh,
I
the
just thought
poor
that was
fish. The poor fish.
a really interesting hunting method. You know, just psychic bombing a lake. Lucario's entry says, a most gallant-looking creature. It emits energy waves and controls them with precision, using them to sense even faraway beings. I have given the name Aura to this power. Like with Laventon naming Oshawot's shell the Scalchop, Laventon was the person to name Lucario's power, Aura. Next is the
Aura
Lake
Sphere.
Trio, and I'll read all of their dex entries in one go. Because apparently, despite them being very cute and the source of humanity having a lot of important things about their minds, people were afraid of them. Uxie, a Pokemon feared but also respected for stealing away the memories of evildoers. I have found records
You know
that
what?
suggest Uxie holds dominion over
That's
knowledge.
pretty
Mesprit,
sick.
known as the being of emotion. In legend, this Pokemon was feared, as any who showed disrespect would have their emotions thrown into disarray. Azelf, the dreaded being of willpower.
dreaded?
Legends tell of this Pokemon manipulating the will of its adversaries and turning them into puppets of its own. So, stealing memories, causing emotional disarray, and turning people into puppets. I do kind of get why they were afraid of them now, yeah. Heatran's entry says, stories tell of this Pokemon being birthed from the boiling magma within Mount Coronet. Its molten steel body holds many mysteries. Mount Coronet? What happened to Stark Mountain? I thought Fire Spit
the-
Island was also supposed to be Stark Mountain. What? Why are they talking about within the magma of Mount Coronet? When has Mount Coronet ever had magma? Cresselia's entry says, Cresselia
My
is reminiscent of the
favorite!
crescent moon. It leaves a brilliant line of light in its wake as it flies across the night sky. I dare say it resembles the heavenly maiden who created the Milky Way. I could not figure out who this heavenly maiden is.
Yeah, who the
So
heck's
apparently
that?
it's some kind of spirit, religious thing among Laventon's people, and apparently Cresselia looks like her. Next, we'll be looking at both of Tornadus' dex entries. Its incarnate entry says,
That's
the
right,
storm-stirring
Tornadus is in
Pokemon
here.
is said to cause the seasons to turn by whipping up the air. I suspect its human-like form to be a false one. Then its Therian entry says, an example of what is known as a form change, though I suspect this strange avian guise to be Tornadus' true form. Tornadus has been sighted crossing the ocean while in this form. While it's only Laventon's suspicions, and we've seen he can be wrong, I do think it's interesting that he has this perspective that the Therian forms are the true forms, whereas the incarnate forms are fake forms. Which is interesting because the incarnate ones were the first ones introduced. It'll be interesting to see if we ever get confirmation about whether he's right. Enamorus's Therian form entry says, a different guise from its feminine humanoid form. From the clouds, it descends upon those who treat any form of life with disrespect and metes out wrathful, ruthless punishment. Damn, cloud turtle, snake on its back, lady thing. Pretty hardcore. Next, I want to read the entries for the origin forms for both Dialga and Palkia. Them getting origin forms alongside Giratina. Dialga says, radiant light caused Dialga to take on a form bearing a striking resemblance to the creator Pokemon. Dialga now wields such colossal strength that one must conclude this is its true form. Then Palkia says it soars across the sky in a form that greatly resembles the creator of all things. Perhaps this imitation of appearance is Palkia's strategy for gaining Arceus's powers. Progressing through the plot of the game doesn't really explain how or why the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia happen, but these dex entries kind of do. It's the original forms of Dialga and Palkia that they had because they were more similar to Arceus, the one that created them. Then finally, Shaman Sky's entry says, upon taking in the scent of a particular rare flower, Shaman is enveloped in light and its tiny body transforms. I took a whiff of the flower myself, but alas, my body remained unchanged. I'm mentioning this because it's funny. And that's all the dex entries I wanted to talk about. Be sure to pick up a Legends Goose Shut at MandJTVmerch.com while you still have time. And thank you so much for watching. With an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon,
Heck yeah.
will help support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates. If you want to help support me in the same way, the link is in the description below. Also, if you want to check out some more of my fun Pokemon content, I recommend these videos here. All right, that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans, gotta catch them all. Greetings, boogie fans.
Oh, that was the last one. Dude, this is where he looks like a baby. The next one's like an hour long, so I think we're gonna pass on this one and probably do like a part 2 of reacting to dex entries for another time. So what's gonna happen right now is that we're gonna transition into our shiny hunting in Pokemon Legends ZA. Yes. Yes, Pokemon Legends ZA. So hopefully we can find a shiny Litwick today. We're working with full odds, so this may be a little bit of an uphill battle. So if you're on the YouTube side and I'll have you guys redirected over to the next awaiting room. If you're on Twitch, you guys can just stay around. But yeah, don't forget to like this VOD if you have not done so yet on the YouTube side. But I will go transition over to the next waiting room.